she's sitting so deep, but our viewers at home don't understand. So Ronda said in the meet and greet beforehand, she said, I'm here to win. She said, I'm buying in so deep to teach a lesson to San Marcos Rob.
Okay.
So she wants to give the image that she's a baller, that she's a shot caller. And there's more to add. There's more that she told me, but let's wait as the broadcast develops. I can tell you more later because there's some pretty funny stuff going on there, actually.
So is Robert in seat 4, San Marcos Rob?
I believe that would have to be who she's referring to.
Okay. Oh, Taco has a nice hand, wakes up with ace-king suited. And it looks like he's going to raise it to 20. Oh, Ozman has pocket jacks. He's just going to call.
Wow. Seems like for this level of play and sitting as deep as they are, relatively short as far as the raises go to the flop.
Oh, set versus top pair, top kicker.
That's a tough one.
Man, a queen would be an ugly card, but Taco's going to come out firing.
And it's one of those you certainly could flop a straight here. Obviously, we see ace-king is never going to be folding with the backdoor equity.
We don't see Mike Stone's hand, but he actually called pre-flop, so he's got a 60 on the flop as well. There's the card that Taco needed to see. The queen to make the Broadway.
Taco jumps way ahead. I wonder what Stone has. The mystery. Sometimes RFID.
He did fold, yeah.
Oh, he did fold. Okay. With the RFID cards, there's going to be situations where maybe they don't get the perfect read. Possibly, I don't know. Is there ever a situation where the cards aren't exactly in the right area?
Absolutely. Sam is going to make the call, hoping the board pairs. The flush gets there, but no one has a flush, so his set is no good.
Backdoor flush doesn't make as much sense here. Obviously, ace-king could have gone backdoor flush, but you feel like unless there's a big bet, it could be a call. So he does fold. Another sign of good play and good players at this table, which obviously if you're in a live stream, people are sitting this deep, they're going to be some of your better players. Because making a fold like that, you watch a lot of hands out here and people don't make those good of folds. There's such good action at Rounders. Obviously, a good player can fold there with a 4-liner to the straight on the board.
Right, and if you're listening and you want to come out and play at Rounders Card Club, we do have a couple tournaments going on right now. We have the Thursday night PLO tournament going on. It's a free roll.
So I meant to ask you a question as we got started.
Go right ahead.
How come all the cool kids and the producers and directors get to sit in the really fancy room? And it's not like it's bad that we're out here at the table, but they're where all the technology is. Is any reason, any thought process to that?
None.
Fair enough. Well, that's a safe answer.
I don't know why they put me here, but I'm safe from playing, so I haven't lost a dime.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But we've got a pretty good view with a great view of the table, but like I'm a little jealous. They're in there where all the fancy things are.
Yeah. And right now the big bounties of $1,000 guarantee going on. The late registration is till 10/12. So it started at 8 p.m. It's been going for a few minutes, 15 minutes. And the PLO tournament, you have about 30 minutes left to register.
And certainly if you're not aware, as we're going to go to the flop on this hand, all this information is available on Poker Atlas, where you can check in from Poker Atlas and check out the tournaments. It'll give you an update if you don't remember the times JT just mentioned of when those tournaments close registration. So it looks like we're going to the flop here. 6-deuce versus ace-deuce versus pocket fours. Kind of a weird flop for the types of hands that they have. 6-deuce obviously folds.
Yaya is going to stick around with his bottom pair.
You could understand nobody really has that strong of a hand here, and possibly the aggressor in this situation is going to be the one that wins the hand. We'll see what Yaya elects to do on the turn here.
I think Taco can call here for 80.
More than likely so. He's got third pair in relation to what the board is. Not the easiest call, but because of the size of the bet, you could call.
He's going to let it go probably.
So the real question is, tonight. Are we going to see Taco's face at any time in the broadcast? Because I would bet not with all that gear on.
No, that's his.
That's his trademark?
That's his gear.
Fair enough.
Carlo, thanks for being in the chat. Good seeing you again. The Big Cheese, rooting on his girl Ronda, sitting on 10,000 tonight. Did she borrow that from you, Big Cheese?
Huh. Well, with a name like Big Cheese, more than likely so, right?
Yeah. Big Cheese is no joke.
So it's going to be interesting to see as this broadcast goes on if Ronda and Robert do indeed get in some battles and if something happens between them. Because as far as there's underlying storylines in any broadcast, any game. That's definitely one of them. I also asked Chaz before the broadcast if he thought he was going to drink tonight. And he said, well, it just depends on if anyone else drinks. A couple of weeks ago, or not even that long ago, maybe 10 days ago, he said, you know what, I'm not drinking for 3 weeks. That lasted all of 2 days.
Right.
And, Chaz is one of those jovial characters, that laughs a lot and talks loudly. When he's drinking, a lot of that's going on. It really has a lot of that exciting charisma. But as of now, nobody seems to be drinking.
Yeah, the night's young. The game's early. And Chaz's laugh is so loud, it carries through 2 walls into the area we're in. You can hear him laughing, having a great time. And I'm sure we will later in the stream hear his laughter coming through. But he co-hosted with me on one of the streams, and the table set back 8 shots for each of us.
Huh.
Woo, don't do that again. We're not asking
8
for
shots,
that.
that's all?
Yeah. We're not asking for that, but it was one of those nights.
Having a drink is one thing, but 8 shots is getting in pretty deep.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
So as we go to the flop here, Ronda's going to be open-ended. King Jack flops the best hand with top pair and a jack kicker.
And she's going to make the call for 80. Now she does pair her hand.
Still with increased equity, but it's one of those situations whether you want to go to the river with just a straight draw.
Yeah, she needs to hit the 6 and not the ace, because the ace will get Nick off the hand, and bam, bing, bong, there she is. The 6 of spades, a red 6 would be the best 6.
Correct.
The black 6 is going to be hard for him to get away from.
Yeah, the only thing that slows it down with it being the flush draw making its way to the river, so it can possibly you can fold in a situation where you could put somebody on a flush rather than the straight.
Yeah, I believe she bet 400 and he let it go. No way he can call. If it's a red 6, I think he gets in trouble there.
I think so, because having top pair with a good kicker there would make sense to call. Certainly you could put your opponent on some type of combo draw to a straight draw, flush draw, combo, and there's a 4-liner to the straight on the board on the river.
The 5 would be a bad card because she could have any ace to make the wheel.
Sure.
So Nick gets out of harm's way with top pair and a good kicker.
So you see opposite strategies as you look at the chip count there. Ronda and Chaz electing to sit incredibly deep, and several other players going with a more shallow approach, trying not to risk too much and basically maybe get lucky, win some hands, and accumulate chips.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try and grind their way up. And Ronda can play a lot more hands.
Correct. I was going to say you could understand that approach, but it also makes it a lot more difficult to play short like that because you really limits how aggressive you can be in the number of hands. You're really kind of looking for a double or maybe to triple your stack, and then you can kind of open your game up.
Yep. Rudy's going to call with the pocket 10s with Ronda's open with the king jack suited. Taco probably can come along with the ace 4 clubs. I don't see him folding just yet.
It's good to see that Taco has the matching green Ford hat with his green gear. You know, you don't want to be non-color coordinated when on television.
He's very selective. Look at this. Ronda has 80% of a royal flush draw. Taco has top pair. Ronda gets a flush there.
It's going to be hard for Rude to continue here as what can he beat on a board like that?
He needs a 10, but he can't catch the 10 of diamonds.
Right. And we'll see.
Is there a 10 of spades in the house?
Hard to say what Taco's going to do here.
Ronda makes it 75.
What a tiny bet in relation to the pot. less than a half pot size, which I guess makes sense. 195 bet 75, but it's one of those please call me bets, which are always a little scary and suspicious.
Yeah, Taco needs the queen or the ace on the river. The board does pair again, but doesn't. Oh, it does help him.
That's a full house.
Yeah, it does help him. Wow.
That's a pretty fortuitous run out.
Oh, and it went check, check. He might have tried to trap.
Unreal. How does it go check, check there? Because you can see with the board pairing, but it's really shocking that neither player bets. Another sign of good players because the flush is out there, the full house gets there, he checks to trap, Ronda doesn't take the bait.
Right.
And the pot is basically kept minimally small, which all pros try to do.
Yeah, Ronda's not a pushover by any means.
No, but like for both players to check there is phenomenal poker play.
So we got Chris in the booth in our box tonight dealing, and he's doing a great job. Probably be dealing the whole stream tonight. Our other dealer.
Really, he's locked in?
Not feeling well. Yeah.
Oh man, you know what's tough when you lock in like that? Like obviously, I feel like either one of us could carry the broadcast for a few minutes if somebody had to go to the bathroom. But when you lock in as a dealer, good luck.
Yeah.
Like you cannot go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Obviously, he won't be drinking that much fluid. But if you've ever dealt in a home game or dealt at all, dealing that long is no easy chore. It's very difficult.
Right. Let's see if Yaya wants to get in the mix with his 8-6 of spades. Sure, I'm going to raise it, he says.
Well, it's one of those. Is he in early position here? Where is the button?
Yeah, he's under the gun.
So it's one of those that it's either a raise or fold type situation. Typically, most pros won't play hands like that because they're volatile out of position. So you either raise or fold.
So my man Rudy is going to get pocket queens this hand. He just had pocket tens. He had to fold, but he's going to bump it up just a little bit.
Yeah, you would expect there to be a 3-bet here for
125 probably. Oh, 150, okay.
Makes sense.
Yaya's going to get out of the way unless he's going to be stubborn with his 8-6 of
It's
spades.
just a really hard hand to play out of position, especially post-flop.
And Big Daddy lays it down.
Daddy's out there laughing.
I know. Gino tried to come back here and fix it. I don't know. And
So he loses with a pocket tens, but he's going to take down small pot with a pocket queens.
So these are good players and a good lineup, but what it strikes to me early is everybody's playing relatively tight. People are trying to get a feel for each other. That's typically what good players do as a game will start, but everybody is playing really close to the vest until the game opens up a little.
Yeah, everybody's just splashing around with a few hands. The 8-6 of spades. I like the raise to try and, like it's a blocker bet. Hopefully no one can re-raise you.
You think so, though? Because splashing around is usually indicative of bigger pots or taking chances. I don't think they're playing pretty tight at this point.
multiple.
But we'll see as it goes, or if any alcohol is consumed. That could certainly open things up a little bit.
Change the game a little bit.
But when Ronda's sitting with 10K and Chaz is sitting with 5K and people are sitting shorter, you have to be really careful.
Yeah, well, Mike Stone has $3,000 on him.
Right, which seems
front of his
more
deck.
seems more fair and appropriate. Like a lot of times when you sit really deep, you want to kind of dictate the tempo of the game, or obviously you want to be able to get max value if you end up with a big hand.
I mean, she has 2,000 big blinds.
Right, which seems ridiculous. But again, we'll elaborate more as the stream goes on why Ronda's doing that. It's to send a message.
She wants to cover someone and catch them in a big hand and maybe targeting one person.
She wants to lay the hammer down on Rob, I believe. But we will see if this game presents any opportunities. Go to the flop, 8-5 versus ace, queen offsuit, and king 8 suited. So ace queen's going to flop top 2 pair. Don't think we'll see any continuation post-flop here. It's just going to be a bet and take it
Yeah,
situation.
she's going to take it down.
Nobody really has anything to compete with. Bottom pair is just not good enough.
So if you're getting like, they'll be like 50% of their rate, literally doing nothing.
You see the chip denominations on the screen. If you're not familiar with rounders, obviously white being 1, red being 5 is pretty typical. The green are 25 here. The black are 100. And we don't see any plaques on the table yet. I don't see any purples either, which are worth 500.
Right.
No plaques worth 1,000 on this game currently. One of the previous live streams, on another day. They definitely had plaques on the table, but it's player dependent, of course.
Yeah, Rhonda could have a couple plaques and dress up her chips a little bit with the orange plaques.
Most definitely. I think maybe the approach is, though, she wants to have all those chips. Sometimes players like to have a really big stack.
Well, I think those orange plaques are pretty intimidating. So if you're thinking of throwing one of those out there, you're gonna get everybody's attention. That's for sure.
Sure.
And Rudy keeps getting pocket pairs. Tens to queens, now down to fours. I just got a feeling he's going to flop a set for some reason. Fours have not hit yet.
They've been
out there twice, so I'm thinking a 4 on the flop.
Let's see what happens.
Bingo. Two twos is a 4.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
Oh, what kind of math is that?
The only hand we can't see is Osman, and he could easily be carrying the queen, jack, king, queen.
Yeah, it's curious.
Range.
So it's almost like some of these hands are going to be like, hey, you play the hand. Let's guess what the player has, or what would you do in this situation. It's kind of like those hands they play in the World Series where Norman Chad guesses what the a player has. So as we go to the turn, the turn's a 5. Big Daddy Chaz turns a pair, which actually is the best hand, and then Rivers a full house. I don't see how 8-7 is going to call anything here unless he makes the bet as the aggressor, which appears what Yaya wants to do. Oops, I stepped in the bear trap, though.
But does he have 8-7? That's what I want to know. Could the card reader be off? Does he have just a queen?
It's possible.
I don't know what's going on here.
Maybe he was just the aggressor in this hand, and he's trying to follow up with aggression. But obviously, with a full house, Chaz is going to put a stop to that. So if the cards are actually right, Yaya should fold here after deliberation, because you want to tank fold sometimes, not to give your opponent any information as to what you might have in your hand.
What if he called with the 7 deuce instead of the 7-8?
That would make more sense, but
right.
It could be just one of those where hand in the cookie jar, I'm going to stall here a little and tank to make you think that I had something to bet with. We'll see what happens.
I don't know if he's played with Big Daddy before or not, but Big Daddy's tough to beat.
He's definitely capable of making some unusual moves at times, too, which could be going through Yaya's head here. I think Yaya's just stalling and he's going to fold. He's trying to pretend like he has something. See, that's just, when you get in these bigger games, too, there's going to be tanks, so you try not to give anything away, even though we know that if those cards are right, he's folding right away.
Nope, Chad's going to let him pick one. Oh, he's going to show both cards.
Right on.
Showing he got there.
Certainly wish we could hear the commentary between the players, but sometimes, like these live streams, you're not able to do that. It just would be curious to hear what the speech is. Chaz is having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Our buddy and friend John Lucas is in Houston tonight, but he's watching the stream while he's out of town working. Get home safe tomorrow. We'll be playing the mixed game at midnight, hopefully, here at Rounders Card Club. We play a mixed game at midnight on Fridays. Rhonda's in the chat.
Rhonda's in the chat? What's Rhonda saying? If Rhonda says anything, just be aware, Rhonda, that we're not letting all the cats out of the bag just yet to save some type of interesting information for later in the stream. There hasn't been any type of hand, really, between Ronda and Robert yet either. So nothing really to speak of. I don't have that much. I don't want you to think I have all these elusive secrets. I just have a little more.
Right. Ronda did mention in the chat that they tried to get the 7 deuce in and one player disagreed to play it.
Interesting.
Wow, that is. I want to know who is that.
It brings a whole dynamic to the game. You could understand a player refusing because when 7 deuce, you just don't know if somebody's got pocket aces, pocket kings, or 7 deuce.
Right.
And maybe, too, because they're sitting that deep. You don't
actually, go ahead. Let me tell you a quick story.
Sure.
Actually, our man John Lucas, who played on the stream one night, got in a hand with Big Daddy Chaz. Chaz flopped top pair with aces, and John bluffed him off it with the 7 deuce with a river bet. And It was a great play.
Sure.
You know,
That's
anytime
gonna-
you get someone to play fold like Chaz's quality.
Well, yeah, because like hand reading is really important for
What just
good
happened here?
players.
Tony, you see this? Nick's all in with jacks.
Not sure. So I guess as good broadcasters, we'd be covering each hand, but we're telling stories. So forgive us for missing what happened there. It looked like there was a raise, possible all-in, and a quick fold. So nothing really that we missed. Here's the VPIP. So far, Yaya at 50%. And you said, what was the deal with whoever had the lowest VPIP?
Well, this might be a different game
Okay.
because they might have changed. Our games have been changing a little bit from what we have locked into the format, like at the beginning of the month. Sometimes the games change, so you'll see on our calendar. That doesn't mean it's been played. It means it's been changed. Like right here, you see the 5, 10, 25 is now 1, 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
So we mix it up and change it based on players' requests and stuff like that. So
Makes sense.
it looks like this one's just going to be a 5-5, but we were thinking. I thought it was going to be like a where the lowest VPIP got voted off the table, and then alternate would come in and start playing.
So is this like Survivor if that was that prop was on?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Was that Mike? Oh, we are doing that. Okay.
Wait, so who
So
do you, so far there was one person's VPIP at 0%. So that's the easy
I think
vote.
it's Robert.
Maybe Robert's scared of Ronda.
Maybe he knows she's gunning for him.
If word gets to him, that could be a dynamic in the game. Or maybe he just really has been that card dead.
I haven't seen him play a hand.
Yeah, we haven't looked at all the hands, but he must indeed be card dead. But 0%, that means you haven't put $1 into the flop other than the blinds.
And you know what? I'm about $15 blind.
Bus says we need some bomb pots. Yeah, they are going to do some bomb pots. They did one to start the game off, and usually with the change of dealer, we'll do one. But I believe Chris is going to be dealing most of the night, so they'll just have to randomly. Ronda does have the bomb pot button.
So we'll see if that comes back around when the buttons align, because a lot of times that's how it works. Here we don't know what Stone's cards are. Big Daddy Chaz has ace-8.
Mike's checking, so he could have made a better two-pair with that queen on the river. Oh, he has 9s. He does have a better two-pair.
Makes sense.
Checks it down, takes down a $200 pot. There's our chip count. Ronda's up 100. Big Daddy Chaz up 200. Mike Stone should be up or even right now. It says he got 2,800, but he just won that $200 pot. He bought him for 3,000, so I'm guessing he's at 2,900 maybe.
There really hasn't been much movement yet. The players playing pretty close to the vest. Nothing big happening other than that flip where Big Daddy Chaz won the first hand. There hasn't been a lot of movement in chips yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Brandy, thank you for joining the chat tonight.
We need someone with a remote that can.
Want to thank everybody that's out there watching us in YouTube land. Thank you for all the likes that we're going to get tonight. We do need to hit 60 likes if you guys want to get some overtime tonight.
We are supposed to say, just because, you got to put it out there sometimes and ask for it. Maybe if you needed another haircut or something, I'm coming up for one. So if you feel implored or you feel generous and you want to throw tip money out there towards the broadcasters, if we say something funny, if there's something that you like about a hand, or you just wanted to be generous because, us broke broadcasters need to make a little money, that's one way that you can throw us a bone. So feel free to do so if you'd like. We would definitely thank you for it and appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So as we go to the flop here, it's going to be 4-3 offsuit versus ace-10 if Rado does indeed call.
He's texting, so he's going to get out of the way. Taco's going to raise to 20 with the ace-10 offsuit.
Yaya finally wakes up with a pretty good hand. He's going to have pocket queens. Should see another raise here, you would think.
And he took it down.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Went pretty fast there.
Sometimes, we do apologize. Sometimes the graphics aren't always going to be able to keep up with the
action.
gameplay.
Right.
Which usually, there's a lot of technology going on.
Right, there's an action tracker. There's a person actually entering every single movement, every bet, every call, every fold, and he's doing that on a computer, which is a touchscreen. So sometimes it has a glitch or something, or we just don't we miss it because we're occupied. We're talking. We're missing a hand. But Rhonda, thank you for the chat donation. We appreciate that.
Generous. Rhonda, remember, we have more to say if you are indeed listening. It's going to be delayed, of course. You won't hear us for a half hour from now. We definitely have things to add as far as your battle, but we will get into that if those hands indeed occur. So thanks, Rhonda.
Rhonda says Chaz will match that with tacos.
Right on.
All
Wow,
right.
that's very generous of them. We certainly appreciate it.
Anthony's got his buddy Taco on the stream tonight, rooting for his buddy. Carlo must be hungry too because he's chatting in the chat, typing in tacos. 3-3 King. We can't see what Mike Stone has, but he's going to lead out for 25.
You called me?
Mystery hand.
Big Daddy Chaz says, "How much you got back there? 3,000? Bump it up."
Huh. You could see it. You could read the lips and the body language there. He did say bump it up. Good catch.
Yep, 10-7 is going to get away from that.
Well, I mean, he's got nothing. No
Yeah.
pair, no draw. No, he doesn't really have anything there.
But look how Chaz plays back at him. I mean,
Chaz just kind of fires those cards in the muck. So that's just a good player with chips, with aggression, having an understanding of how to read an opponent's. Maybe he catches something there that we don't know, where he just raises back on a pretty dry board.
right. Well, you know you don't know, but Mike Stone, Rhonda, and Big Daddy Chaz are normally three of the players that play on the bigger games.
Sure.
And then Rudy and everybody else normally plays on the 1-3 to other games. So we are doing a bomb pot right now. So I guess they're just going to randomly choose when they want to do, and they're doing $15 each.
Interesting. No, it does make sense. So I've actually been here and played a lot I've actually been in Texas since March on this trip, and I've interacted with Chaz a lot. He's just a real nice guy, likable guy. I've always had good interactions with him, but you certainly see him playing in the big games all the time, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and he plays a big game tomorrow night.
Sure.
Should be a 5-10 with a $5 ante in the DQ. James, big game Friday, starts at 4.
Rhonda always seems like she's playing in the bigger games, too, and generally has a pretty big chip stack in front of her.
Yeah, she's no one to mess with.
I wouldn't think so.
I stay out of these guys' way.
Makes sense.
John Lucas, thank you for the donation. Keep up the good work, he says.
Right on. We appreciate you, sir.
Yep, get home safe so I can take some coin from you tomorrow night at midnight.
I think a little pregame talk,
Yeah.
trash talking for tomorrow's game.
We play exactly the same.
You do?
Yeah.
You're like mirror images of each other?
We play the same hands. I mean, if you're betting, you got it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
So you
it's
play a
pretty
pretty tight, aggressive strategy is
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Well, we play all the mixed games, but if you're betting, you got a strong hand.
Gotcha.
We're not trying to limp in there or mix it up with something
I tell you,
marginal.
Chaz would love to play against you guys then. He could just know, all right, you have the best hand.
Exactly. If I'm betting, you shouldn't be calling, but a lot of times you do.
Yeah, well, people that sit deep and like to mess around, you never know what they're capable of.
So we got 2 flush draws, diamonds and hearts. I'm trying to see. Osman has king high diamonds, and I don't see hearts out there. I do see
These are hard hands to read because there's so many card combos.
Yeah, so many combinations, right?
It takes
There is
a
a
little
straight
time.
out there with 9-10 of hearts. Robert has 9-10 of hearts. So he has a straight, but I don't see a queen 10.
And it's
He has a flush draw, straight draw.
right, heart, diamond board, so nobody could have a flush yet. It looks like that's the only hand.
Mike Stone bet 300.
We can't see his cards to see what he has.
That'd be so ironic if he has the 10-9 of diamonds.
Would certainly be interesting.
All right.
Definitely would see continuing or a possible raise with the straight backdoor equity if that's what he had.
How does Robert not call here? He has the nut straight.
He's probably just thinking. You never know what's going through a player's mind in certain situations. So, just like we saw in that situation where Yaya kind of got caught with his pants down, he was trying to give a little time before he makes an obvious decision not to give anything away. This could be the same thing here. You have the nuts, but you just don't want to. It's a timing tell if you call too quickly sometimes.
Robert does make the call.
Of course.
I want to see what happens if the board happens to pair. Can he make the other call?
Would definitely make it interesting, but we have
Yeah.
no idea what Stone has.
No. And a brick comes off.
So there'll be a bet and a call or a bet raise type situation. You would think if Stone bets here again, Robert
Well-
would raise.
Well, if Stone bets here, he's going to probably put Robert all in for $550. The pot is at $735, so I can't imagine betting less than 3/4 pot,
Right.
which would put him all in.
That appears to be what happened.
Oh, they got the same hand.
Makes sense.
A quick snap call. I can't see what Mike Stone has, but I'm hoping he has the. Oh, he has 9-10 clubs. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh, he did have 2 pair along with it, so he could have made a full house.
sure.
Jack 7, 10, 9.
Heart redraw. Still full house redraw.
A flush draw versus a full house draw with 2 made straights.
Right. Surprised the money didn't get in sooner, actually.
Yeah, I think if a king comes on the river, a black king, Stone could make a move at it. Or if the jack of hearts comes out, oh my goodness.
Right. It's going to take a little moment here for Chris to
Chop
the
up,
chips.
yeah.
And as you mentioned, he's the only dealer in tonight's game because the other live stream dealer you said went home sick? Or?
Yeah, he came in not feeling the best, and hopefully Mike comes back and he's feeling better.
Who was the other dealer scheduled to deal?
Mike?
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
And-
Spanish Mike?
No.
Okay.
And just hoping he feels better. He came in and tried, and
Because if it's
Just
Spanish
had-
Mike,
just-
you never know how much he's had to drink the night before.
yeah,
so.
no.
He's a spirited character, if there ever was one.
San Antonio News in the chat. Thank you for showing up tonight.
The San Antonio News is in the chat?
Hopefully everything's going well.
Hey, we're going to be media stars. Who knew?
Man, we've already got 2 super chats. We've got 84 viewers. That's beautiful. Thank
Solid.
you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Maybe we'll be rock stars in the news tomorrow.
Let's see what's going on.
You feel like Rhonda's going to be in the chat from time to time. She's definitely want to see if there's any type of comments or anything going on with her, but definitely welcome and hello to everyone in the chat. Feel free to, if you've got the access to all the chat, if you can read and keep up with everything. It's difficult to keep up with all that, but keep us up to speed on what the people are saying.
Yeah, we got some likes going on, so we really appreciate it.
I don't know what the highest like total is on a broadcast, but certainly if, smash that like button, we'd like to set the record. Setting records is what America's all about, right? So if we have,
Yeah, this time of year especially, right? The Olympics.
well, right, nationalistic pride is at its highest during the Olympics, even if there are no crowds, which is weird. You thought it was weird watching sports last year, watching baseball, football. Like, I don't know about you, I'm a Vikings fan, but the Vikings had basically no home court or home field rather advantage at all, and that's in the NFL. Home field advantage is a huge thing, but the Olympics is like watching COVID sports last year because there's no fans and it's so unbelievably unusual.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I think the Olympics have a lower rating currently, because you usually have all the flags being waved, all the pride in the stands, all the cheering, and just without that, it just doesn't seem to be the same.
Yeah, I love watching the track and field and the swimming, and I haven't seen one single Olympics this year.
Sure. It just
And Rudy had sent me a text, and he says the chip count is off. He actually started with 800, not 500. Sorry about that, buddy. We'll get a chip count for you at the end, see if you're booking a $800 win or more.
those are certainly things, as you mentioned, too. It's a lot for the booth and to keep track of and individually. There's just so much going on with hands as we go to the flop here. Jack 9 offsuit versus 9-7. So Big Daddy Chaz is going to flop a gutter.
Nice and easy.
Say that again. Yeah, correct.
So our producer director mentioned to us that sometimes players change their mind at the last moment as far as what they're going to buy in for, and that's knowledge that we don't know until the last minute, so it makes it a little tough. Could be indeed the situation.
Yeah, Mixed Game Mike is always giving us some information through our headsets, and so if you hear us talking to someone that you don't know who it is, it's usually Mike, and he's giving us a little bit of information. And
Well, the director runs the show and always has the extra information.
Nick makes a great call, calling with a pair of 9s with a jack kicker versus a 9 with a 7 kicker from Big Daddy.
So it's a situation where it could be player dependent. They know that Chaz is going to try to dictate the tempo sometimes. And sometimes in those situations when you have a player that's active and likes to be aggressive, you just kind of have to hold on and make a tough call there because you're going to be right. It's probably situational percentage-wise how many times you're going to be accurate there. But Chaz is definitely a guy that likes to dictate what's going on at the table.
And he's going to bet when he thinks he has the best hand. You
Sure.
know, Nick was calling the whole time, so he could have put Nick on a flush draw or maybe an 8 because it was queen 8.
It's also one of those, too, if you sit that deep, you want to be able to put people to tough decisions sometimes.
And Chaz will definitely do that.
Most definitely.
Just like he raised Mike Stone with the king deuce deuce or king 3-3 flop, whatever it was.
It kind of makes sense, though, because on the turn, the board was double paired, and he's got the ace in that situation.
Check this out. We got some straddles going on here.
That's a big one.
We got 5-5, 10, a 5-5, 20, 30, 40. I can't see it. Normally when they will spread them out a little bit so we can see what the chip count is, but it looks like Ronda has 30. Excuse me? 15, 30, 60.
Makes sense.
So Yaya is getting a huge $60 straddle.
Definitely one of those where we said the players might want to feel each other out.
And here's Big Daddy doing his thing, trying to take that easy money away from everybody.
We just talked about that. Doesn't have the greatest of a hand, but just is going to try to make a move, be aggressive, and dictate the tempo, and it could work. You know that long-term, too, aggression in poker is winning. It's not always going to be negative aggression, but aggressive players, well-timed aggression, and knowing how to read opponents is absolutely a winning style.
Ronda and Yaya is going to come along. Yaya does have a pair of 8s. He straddled for 60. He flops his set, and Chaz flops middle pair.
Wow.
My goodness, this could get pretty. Let's see if Yaya goes for the check.
The board's super coordinated here, so it's one thing that could slow things down, but pre-flop.
Chaz does not get trapped.
Chaz's good players are very good post-flop, knowing how to evaluate, knowing how to have an understanding of where you're at and not just naked aggression.
It'll be hard for Chaz to continue with the board pairing with queens, but he's going to make the call for 325.
Rockin' Ronda was the one that bet here. She just took a stab
Oh, my
at
goodness. Yaya has the full house. Ronda and Big Daddy Chaz brick the river with the ace out there.
Ronda's going to take a stab at it again. It looked like for a second, then she pulled her hand back. She had pulling out, making like what she thought was going to, what you looked like was going to be a bet, but you would think she's going to check. Yaya's certainly going to put in a relatively big-sized bet here.
Right, and Chaz is going to feel like he got unlucky by the ace getting there. 625.
But
The
that
pot was 1,600.
Wow,
Chaz
called.
snap calls.
That's a little surprising because the board's very, very coordinated.
Well, it's a straddle, so he's thinking that he's bluffing on the river, but he shows, I just have a full house.
That's all. Oops.
I flopped the set, turned to full house.
Well, he shows the 7.
Yeah, he's
That's
not showing
great.
the 10. Wow, what a straddle hand, right?
Yeah, I guess he shows the 7 to give his opponent the impression that possibly he has a queen. That, you know, he has a pretty strong hand there, but can't beat a full house.
Man,
Because otherwise you wonder why you would just show the 7 there.
there's Chaz's VPIP up to 50%.
Well, that's no surprise.
Roberts is at 0, but I can't believe it's at 0 because he did play a hand with a Mike. No, that was a straddle. I mean, that was a bomb pot, so maybe that does not count. Wow. He's sitting at a 0 VPIP.
Well, he's going to get voted off the island, or he's going to get VPIP'd off the island, if, you know, we could say such a term.
DQ, if you are listening, give me something I can say on the stream for Robert to pick up the VPIP to help him out. He's sitting at 0.
Speaking of VPIP, and so I was driving here and it was really hot because I need to get the air fixed in my car, so I'm probably overhydrated. I'm going to VPIP myself off the island for a moment and go to the bathroom.
Sounds good.
Be right back.
Take a
sir.
break. Ronda is going to straddle, and Yaya is going to come in for, looks like 75 with a raise with ace-queen offsuit. Our man Sam Oseman is going to get out of the way, 6-4 off. Chaz is going to 3-bet with the the 9-10 off, trying to get some chips back from Yaya, who just got him with the 8s full of queens. So Chaz looking for a 9 or a 10. He doesn't have a flush draw, and Yaya flops top 2 pair. Yaya's going to check. I think Chaz is going to lead out 150 into a 480 pot. Yaya's looking all nonchalantly. Oh my gosh, that's actually a bad card for Yaya. A king or an 8 on the river. Chaz is going to bet 525. Yaya has top 2 pair. Chaz picks up an over-in straight draw. Yaya is not going to put him on a flush. He could put him on a flush draw, but that jack is. Chaz has to hit a king or an 8, non-spade. The pot is up to $1,300. Yaya was checking and trapping. Now he's wondering if Big Daddy Chaz actually has a flush, or did he turn a straight? Or do I know I have the best hand I'm going to raise? He's going to call 525. Chaz says, give me a red 8. He'll never see it. Oh, and Yaya makes another full house. Queen's full of aces. He's hoping Chaz has the flush, but that's not the case. Chaz is going to let it go. So I'll pick my spot again here in a little bit. Yaya's making some hands there. Mr. Andrew. Back-to-back full houses. Pretty simple game. Don't forget, we have the Summer Sizzler about to kick off here, August 4th through August 8th. It's $200,000 guaranteed prize pool, with first place being guaranteed $40,000. It's a $300 buy-in. You're going to start out with 30,000 in chips for 30-minute levels. We do have 3 turbos. Day ones are going to be at Friday night at 10 p.m., Saturday night at 9 p.m., and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Those are our last 3 turbos, and they're going to be 15-minute levels. We do have 10 day ones, and day 2 is going to be Sunday, August 8th, starting at 2 p.m. So come on out to Rounders Card Club. Take a stab at getting your $300 turned into $40,000.
You know, I didn't want to interrupt the live stream, but I wanted to walk out there and just say, you know that your VPIP is 0 and you're, like, guaranteed to be off the island? You never know, though. Poker players have relatively large egos sometimes, and it might be very upsetting.
Okay, I thought he was in the hand. He folded.
Imagine that.
Son of a gun.
If you're at 0%, why not stay at 0%, right? You know they're going to razz him about that, like, too, after some of these players watch part of the broadcast.
For sure.
They're going to give him all kinds of hell about it.
Chaz is going to take it down with the Jack 10 raising, and no one can call. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be pretty impressive if Robert gets through here with a 0 VPIP.
Well, that's impossible. I mean, there's card dead, but if you're that card dead, you might as well just, like, check out. You'd be asleep or be watching a movie at home.
Man.
Because I don't know. Have you ever played a session where you never saw the flop even once?
That's I can't imagine.
Unparalleled.
I can't imagine anybody doing that. I don't care how bad my hand is. I'm going to try and get it in with a I don't really pay attention to his cards tonight, so I'm not sure, why his VPIP is there. I haven't seen the hands.
He has to be card dead.
Let's check out the next 3 hands. Let's just monitor Robert's hands.
Sure.
I'm going to keep track. I'm going to write them down so we can know why his VPIP is there.
Or maybe concurrent with the theme of this broadcast, because Ronda has it out for Robert, maybe he's scared. Maybe Ronda said something to him that we didn't hear before we went live, and he's just sitting there.
So let's see what Ozman is going to have right here. He's going to raise a 25 with the ace-5 of diamonds. And Robert has ace-queen. Are you kidding me? It said he folded.
That can't be right.
Something's off here, right?
That can't be right.
Ace-queen off.
For
Not
real,
folded.
why are you sitting at the table if that's the case? So we're going to go to the flop with 8-5 of spades versus ace-5 of diamonds.
Chaz can take his position and bet into the Ozman, and
That just shows you that Chaz has no fear because he really has nothing here and bets anyway.
he's betting that a club's going to come out there where he can rep the flush.
Sure. Which a good player has the ability to do that, but he's going to take his option to check.
The king gets there, so ace-5 is good.
You wouldn't think that Chaz is going to put another dollar in the pot here. It's just going to go check, check, showdown. Unless he gets some ideas. Here it comes. Chaz does throw on the bet representing the flush. We'll see what.
Look at my man Sam is going to look him up.
Usman calls pretty quickly. He didn't believe him. Which the story of the hand doesn't really make sense. We can just hear Chaz laughing out there in the game. Of course, we're at a half-hour delay, but we'll see if things pick up. Maybe an important hand takes place here coming up, or a drink has been consumed. Because so far everybody's been, we can't hear the chat, of course, but everybody's been kind of close to the vests. Chaz making a few moves, but so far he's really the only one. Everybody else playing pretty standard poker.
Yeah, they're checking and letting him bet at it and see if they can't just call him down.
Well, he's already won a hand or two just by being aggressive, which, again, if you're going to sit that deep, good players are going to do that.
One of our friends in my text messages sent me a little message saying if you knew Robert, you would understand that the VPIP is 0 is not surprising. He plays probably a lot of big pairs. Doesn't like to call a lot of raises with marginal hands, which I understand. I don't either. So
if Ronda's really got it after,
he had king 5. It looked like he had ace queen the first hand.
Aha, that makes perfect sense. So
Okay.
So Ronda's talking about a different Robert that's not at the table.
Yeah,
so,
not this guy.
That really sucks because now we have no game stream or storyline, which just the storyline as the game develops.
The only storyline is if this Robert gets voted off and the new Robert gets in that seat.
Well, so far we're heading towards that.
Yeah. That would be ironic. One Robert for another. One that's more action for sure.
Well, the table would probably appreciate it because if your VPIP is 0, how are you ever putting $1 in the pot or losing anything?
I think Rudy can bet into Big Daddy here, and with his reputation of being.
Chaz has 8-2 offsuit. I wonder if he's had something to drink because he's certainly opened his game up as the game's gotten a little more comfortable.
Is about to reload here. He's wanting to get in the big hand with somebody.
Well, sometimes when you get to this point too, because Chaz certainly you wouldn't think he'd be any exception. Good players do have egos. If you're an athlete, all good players, all good athletes have egos. So maybe he wants to sit as deep as Ronda. So if there's some bang bang fireworks, they'll be sitting as deep as possible.
Yeah, he ran into a couple big hands.
He got caught bluffing a couple times too.
Right. So he's going to build up a stack and try and, if he has to go up against Yaya in seat 1, he wants to be able to cover him.
Here come the purple chips, which are $500.
Robert seems to be playing with his chips, not used to seeing the black ones, I guess, and purples.
I think he's checked out.
There's some purples out there, so Chaz has another 3,000 or 4,000 right there.
I'm just joking. Of course, we don't want to analyze or criticize somebody's play. Like, everybody plays a different strategy, and if you just aren't getting any cards, it makes sense to fold.
Yeah, the only hand I can say is the ace queen.
That had to be an error. Who at this table is playing that tight that
See,
they're
he's
going to
got
fold?
9-3 offsuit, so those
Sure.
are all understandable.
Sure, but if you're folding ace queen to no raise pre, like that just couldn't be right. It had to be a graphical error.
Yeah, he's not getting anything to play, that's for sure.
Right.
Ronda's going to maybe bump it up with the pocket deuces. No, she just calls, hoping to flop a set. One of her twos is gone in Yaya's hand. He makes it a 3-bet to 75.
He's the button here, so it's certainly a situation where you could raise the button with anything or dictate the tempo. It appears to be the case here.
Mike Stone does flop the best hand with the king 10 off. Flops middle pair.
We'll see what Yaya elects to do. You would think Ronda's probably going to get out of the way to any bet unless she decides to float the flop.
They do have a TV behind the 3-seat hanging on the wall and behind the dealer. So if you see the players looking up, they are watching the stream. That's 30 minutes behind. Yaya does hit the ace, and he has a flush draw to go with it. Mike Stone needs a black jack or a jack of diamonds.
You certainly understand you have to have a broadcast to have a delay, but it's too bad it's not live, so we could talk to Ronda directly and she could text us, because I feel like, you know, she already sent us a message in the chat. She would do so.
Yeah, that didn't work out last time they had something that close, I guess.
No, you just can't do it. It's the legitimate way if you want to do things in the proper fashion, which obviously would be the case at Rounders, being one of the best card rooms, not only in Texas, but in the country, really. And I've been all over the country. The action's really good here. This game is fantastic, so you just have to do it to have game integrity.
Well, Ronda did it again. Thank you so much, Ronda. She sent us another super chat. So much appreciated.
Maybe she can hear us. It's like a magical voice in her head, and she can hear what we're saying as we're live.
She can definitely hear us every 30 minutes, right?
Well, no, I'm saying maybe she has like some type of magical voice in her head.
Send it.
Right?
Thank you so much. No, you did great.
Much appreciated.
Yes, absolutely.
I still think, to be honest,
Taco hasn't had many hands there for a while. Now he's getting back in with the ace jack of diamonds. Going to probably bump it up a little
So
bit.
what are we talking over there? You said she threw us a bone in the chat. Are we talking like a cheeseburger, like a drink, like a steak? What? How much did she throw us? Just out of curiosity.
$49.99.
That's very generous.
She sent $100 already, and then our buddy John Lucas, who's watching us from Houston tonight because he's working out there, sent us $10. Thank you very much.
That's very kind. We'll have to make sure to thank her after the
Yeah.
broadcast for her kindness and generosity. So we are talking a steak. We're talking like, you know, that's a good tip.
Yeah, that's a that's a great tip.
Most definitely. So as we go to the flop here, it's ace jack suited versus king 8 suited.
I think Chaz might have bumped it up.
And then it was a not very good hand. I think it was 6 deuce. Chaz appears that he is opened the gates up, so to speak, and he's ready to go. He's ready to play and mix things up and put people to a test.
Yeah, Nick from Yuma's in the chat. Thank you, buddy, for joining us. How's it going tonight?
So as we go to the flop, Taco's going to bet the best hand, or flop the best hand, excuse me. Jack on the turn. Coordinated board puts a straight draw. Straight misses, and a pair of aces is best. 170 in the pot. We'll see what happens here on the river.
King 8. I have King 8.
Ace Jack will definitely take it down.
Nobody ends up making an additional bet. It went check, check, check on 2 consecutive streets.
Yeah, Chaz needed a Taco to make 2 pair to take it down with the Broadway.
Right.
Michael
Big
Michael
Daddy
Diaz
Chaz.
has a go King 8. Big Daddy Chaz is King 8 suited.
I was mentioning he has 59% VPIP, so he's definitely leading the way. And it does say that Robert's still down there at 0, if that indeed is accurate. What a range.
I just want to see the hand he plays. I mean, he hasn't had any hands. I mean, the Ace Queen, I'm guessing is card reader error. He had King 5 offsuit and 9-3 offsuit. Nothing that you can play with or call a raise with.
No, those are folds for sure.
So he did get the bomb pot, and he did make the nut straight against Mike Stone's nut straight. But he had a huge hand. He had the nut straight with a flush draw versus Mike Stone's nut straight with 2 pair. So full house could have got there or the flush, but they both chopped
What do
it.
you think Rhonda's listening to there? You think she's listening to us somehow magically?
Yeah,
Just kidding, of course.
Yeah, they might have the volume on the TVs also. She could be listening to our stream. We're waving at her.
No, if
know
she
if
can
she-
hear us now, there's a problem. We are not a half hour delayed,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be accused of that, right?
I waved at the TV screen because she was looking at us, so hopefully she can feel that vibe coming through.
You know, we certainly forgot about Mike Postel during the pandemic situation, but definitely don't want any type of Mike Postel situation, that's for sure.
No, we're not having that here. Mike Stone is going to raise with the Queen 5 of hearts. Yaya 3 bets with the King 9 of spades. And Osman with the Ace Queen off.
You see that Yaya definitely has the propensity to mix it up as well. We go to the flop, and
Osman,
Usman's
yep.
going to flop the best hand. Really kind of has a hammer lock on this hand with what the hands have. And he is going to bet again. We're probably just going to see 2 folds.
Yeah.
Indeed the case.
Yeah, Sam has that reputation. If he's leading out, you better fold.
Sure.
You know, he's not going to let you get there.
Well, so far, you know, obviously important hands or hands where money goes in the pot are exciting, but we really haven't seen any blood yet. We've just seen standard poker, and we've seen Chaz get caught being aggressive and active a few times, which you feel like he's prone to do.
Yeah, Chaz is trying to take his image, and he's gonna catch someone in the hand. I mean, that's just how he plays.
Certainly can do that because with playing
He
that
does
high,
it high VPIP
ahead.
right there.
Yeah, with playing that high frequency of hands, you're gonna have a hand eventually, and that's the idea. Is when you play a wide open range, like playing some of the lag style, which he does play at times. The idea is they just don't know when you're gonna have a hand and when you don't. Fair enough. So we just got word from the director that Robert's going to play his blinds, and then I guess they voted him off the island. You think they had a tribal council?
Yeah. Rhonda just said, you got to go.
Well, I mean, if he hasn't even played a hand, poker players get a little finicky and testy sometimes. Like,
You see him, he's racking it up. Yeah, he's racking up. I just want to see what his hand was. I didn't get to see his cards.
If you're that card dead, you might as well not be here.
Yeah, you've been here for an hour and you haven't been able to play one hand because you're getting all these non-playable hands.
If you're card dead in a good game with good players, I don't know if I really want to play that long either.
Right. We got plenty of tables out in the main room that he can go play 1-2 all day long and get some playable hands.
And I know anybody listening to the live stream or in the chat would understand, but the games don't play like 1-2 games here. They play much bigger.
Hey, but you got to give Robert, he didn't play a hand. His VPIP 0, and he's booking a win.
How did he do
He bought
that?
in for 900, and he's got more than 900.
How did he do that? That has to be an error.
The bomb pots. He won the bomb pots.
He did?
Yeah, he chopped money out of the bomb pot.
Aha.
So
Well, that's a curious scenario.
he's booking a win.
Well,
that's good job, Robert.
You can't-
Great
you
job.
can't really argue with that if you didn't play any hands and you somehow booked even a small win.
Yeah, if you got 0 VPIP and you booked a win, that's a great job.
Correct?
I don't care what anybody says.
Right? I mean, because that's the epitome of patience, and you're still winning somehow.
Abe is coming into that seat. He is bought in for, looks like about 1,300. If that stack of greens is as tall as the one there.
How long do you think it'll be before Abe's VPIP gets
Okay, no,
above 0?
Abe's bought him for 1,000. Okay.
1,000?
Next hand.
Fair enough. I
Next
would
hand.
think that's probably accurate, but just curious. You know, if we could do an over-under bet on it.
Abe doesn't play bad hands. He sees cards that are connected and suited, and he'll mix it up.
Sure.
7-9 queen. Yaya has top pair, top kicker, and a gutter ball straight draw.
Yeah, I've played with Abe a few times.
Big Daddy Chaz has an opening straight draw with the 8-6 and the 7-9 board.
These are the ones that are tough because there's so many card combos to read.
Rudy calls, he bets 50 with 2 pair. 9s and 7s. Looks like we're going to 4 5-way action.
He always got top pair and a gutter ball. And now he's got trips. which is going to take a commanding lead.
And
But
I don't know what Mike Stone
Yeah, I
has.
was going to say, we don't know what Mike Stone has.
But Yaya's going to lead out.
Makes sense.
I think Rudy can call here, but he probably won't. The board is paired, and if the board pairs again, he's going to lose with the 9 or the 7, so he's going to get out of the way. Wow, Mike Stone.
He's thinking.
He's going to fold.
And then he's going to fold.
Yeah, he must just have a straight draw.
Something like that.
No need to call with the board paired with everybody having 4 cards. It's very easily to have Queen 9, Queen 7, Queen Queen.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
Unless you're holding a blocker. But yeah, Andrew Yaya in seat 1 is booking a nice win so far.
Did you see when Chaz added on how much additional he added on for?
It's something close to $3,000, I believe. He just the purples he added on. So
Because it says he has 5.8K, and he originally started with 5K, right?
right.
So
So
he would be in for 8.
he either has 3 or it's either 3,000 or 2,500. I didn't see exactly
It's
when they
hard,
spread them up.
hard to tell sometimes, and without being able to hear the commentary or all the players, you're not quite sure exactly. I was going to mention before you were covering that hand where the bomb pot, which a lot more cards. I've played quite a few times with Abe out on the floor
Sure.
in different games, and he's definitely one that'll mix it up. Or I wouldn't say that he's not scared of action. He's not overly tight. He'll definitely get in there in a lot of different scenarios and likes to see flops.
He's going to fold his first hand. So the non-playable hands are continuing in seat 4 or 5.
Maybe that's just a bad seat today. It happens.
Excuse me, everyone. Chaz did raise it up with pocket 4s. I believe Taco can easily call. Yeah, King 10 suited. It says Abe called, but wow, he called with a 7-4.
Give it to me, Chris.
It's hard to tell because I was trying to look to see if he had
Yeah,
cards.
I'm trying to see.
But the dealer obstructs the view.
Yeah, he's not. No, he has no. He
I didn't
folded.
think
Yeah,
so, yeah.
he would have made a straight
Would have
too.
rivered a straight. Yeah.
Wow.
Turns open-ended would have rivered a straight, but pair of kings is going to take this one down. Nobody else has anything. Pocket 4 is relatively weak on this
Small
board.
pot. Yeah. All right, let's see how many hands it takes Abe to get his VPIP out of 0.
Not long. I think within, like you mentioned, one of the next 3 or 4 hands, he'll probably see a flop. Especially he's in position now. He's in relatively late position.
Carlo chat in there, laugh out loud. Punt of the night? ? Let's find out if there's a punt out there. Ronda is going to straddle.
Who do they think is?
Oh my gosh, look at this. Yaya's doing the double straddle. Go
second
ahead.
time, right?
Yeah.
Who was it that might have perceived to be punting?
I guess they're maybe saying Chaz is with playing the. I guess when Yaya had the 8s full of queens. Maybe.
Right. I mean, it's one of those boards too. Like
He had a pair with the against the straddle. It's hard to put him on that hand.
right. You either have it or you don't in that type
Right.
of situation. It's hard to know that the player has a full house.
Chaz is going to raise with the king crab. Nick folded pocket 3s, it looks like. Mike Stone.
Well, Chaz definitely has the floodgates open at this point. He's looking to dictate the tempo and be the aggressor in this hand.
Ronda makes the call with the king jack offsuit. Ace 9-3. Chaz does flop the best hand. I can't see what Mike Stone has, but we're going to say the king 3 is actually the best hand right now.
Hard to know that. Like But when you're the aggressor pre-flop,
Yeah, Mike Stone did fold.
you might just continue to be the aggressor, and that's the case. There's an example of not having much being aggressive.
And if Nick would have called, he would have flopped the set. If he had the pocket threes that we just saw. So
You could understand folding small pocket pairs like that. So mathematically, it's obviously really hard to flop a set. And if there is raised in significant action, generally playing those smaller pocket pairs, especially if you're out of position, is not winning poker in the long run. So certainly understandable to fold, but yes, would have flopped a set.
yeah.
My guy. Dave's the man.
You're the man. Everybody talks about you, man.
Our buddy 08 Grinder, Mike, out there and does a stream all the time on the WSOP online events. His mother-in-law's not doing too well. I believe she's sick or something, so we want to wish her get well wishes. Hopefully everything is going to be fine.
Certainly so. White light and healing. But that's the 08 Grinder that does the
Yes.
YouTube vlogs, chiming in on the chat.
No, he's not. I just talked to him the other day and told me his mother-in-law was
I gotcha.
under the weather, so we just want to give him a shout out.
I gotcha.
There we go. Abe found a hand. He's VPIP is no longer 0 in that
Well,
seat.
I don't think anybody's VPIP would be 0 if you had that hand. King 10's definitely playable.
No one flops a pair. It's King High is good right now.
Did we shuffle?
I think you got the magic clicker.
Chez, early and often, always having a good time. He's got the, I believe, the TV remote in his hand.
Yeah, the Roku. He's the table captain.
Yeah, he's probably going to decide what to watch or what kind of goofy shenanigans goes on in the background.
Sam's very interested in seat 2.
The same exact suit.
Must be a Orioles highlight on ESPN
It could be. I definitely feel like he would be watching that one.
for sure. There you go. Abe and his second hand takes down a pot with King High. Throwing tips out there.
Yeah, it's a $10 tip. It's a generous tip.
Yep.
So, like, I mean, you understand that that's actually a playable hand, and that Robert was pretty card dead, but Abe takes all of 3 hands to book get in the win
Well,
column.
one was a bomb pot, so that's technically that's his second hand, right?
Right.
So
But in Robert's defense, he didn't have a hand that good the whole time.
he never had a hand that good.
Because there's no way that ace queen had to be some type of RFID error of some sort.
For sure. Unless he doesn't like calling it to a raise, in early position, put someone on a better hand.
There's people that won't play it out of position. I just wouldn't think when you haven't seen a hand and you wake up with a hand that good, you're seeing a flop, I would think.
You could easily get outplayed as soon as it doesn't hit.
Well, sure, but I mean, seeing a flop makes sense and is reasonable there.
Yeah, for sure. A straddle and a raise? No, I think that's going to be a raise and a re-raise.
Looks like it. That's harder to tell. That's actually where you have to really piece together things and pay close attention to the game flow, because without the sound of the players, it's easy to like miss those.
Yes, for
those
sure.
things. Ronda's actually too been relatively quiet considering how deep she's sitting, but you would think with ace jack offsuit she's going to see the flop here. She actually is indeed the one that raises to 180.
We were smoking funny.
And we're going to see a flop 3-way.
7-4 Chaz outflops everybody with second pair. He's going to come out firing.
I think he said 260. He indeed did.
Andrew, I was going to say this. Trust your gut.
Rhonda's smiling, but wonder what she's thinking here, because with really no pair, you're just continuing with overs.
Oh, Rob. I bet 50% of like half my hands sick. So I think I'm sick.
Mike, you do me a favor?
Dude, I never get any action when I flop monsters. It's the craziest shit.
So yeah, has 8-6 and a gutter.
He's going to fold.
Looks like it's just Chaz is going to take it down.
Yeah, it's a big bet to call with a gutter ball.
Sure.
260.
So it appears that as Chaz is rebought and just continue to apply aggression, he's going to start to win some hands. Eventually, he's going to wake up with a pretty good hand, too. You already know that that has to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be big hand over big hand eventually.
Well, not necessarily big hand over big hand. I'm saying Chaz is going to wake up with a big hand eventually. Like, that's kind of the Tom Dwan philosophy. When you see a lot of hands pre-flop and you sit deep and then you can make moves and apply pressure, you just never know when you have pocket queens. That's the beauty of playing that style.
Yeah, it's funny because now they talk about him being older and playing better hands than when he was younger, playing the, off cards and just outplaying everybody.
Sure.
So,
Well, I mean, certainly you can, that can be age dependent when you're younger. You have fearlessness a lot of times, as he would have been in his 20s playing in a lot of those big games. But sometimes, too, you just adapt the way you play and kind of change.
yeah, we got to give a shout out to Bryn J17. He's our first YouTube member. He has subscribed to the Rounders Live, and we're going to give you a shout out, and hopefully you're getting everything out of the packet that you've liked. And if you need any help, you can contact Robert or Mixed Game Mike.
That's what's up. When you say a packet, what do you mean by packet as Big Daddy Chaz flops top pair here?
He purchased, we have an online where you have access to other videos and stuff that everybody doesn't have access to by being a member.
How does that work, and what's the price range breakdown?
I don't know any of that, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
I had to get with Mixed Game Mike and actually get all that information because this is actually our first member that bought into it, so it's pretty exciting. He did it a couple weeks ago, so we just want to give him a shout out, tell him thank you, and hopefully he's enjoying it. If he gives any feedback, get on the chat and let us know how it's going. One of the games we are picking up after this hand's over with Big Daddy Chaz having top pair.
Yeah, he just took it down with top pair. Stone had backdoor equity but did not turn any equity.
Since you mentioned Tom Dwan, I just remember that in August 24th, we were doing a 1-3 short deck stream.
Right on.
So
That should be interesting.
short deck is the 2, 3, 4, 5s are out of the deck. So your wheel is going to be a ace, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it just changes the dynamics. And I believe a flush beats a full house.
Right. It's one of those, because you have less cards in the deck, but it's a game that maybe here especially that not that many people have played. So if you do have any experience, you're going to have a major edge.
Yes. Yeah, because you'll forget sometimes when you're playing it.
Of course.
There's 16 cards missing out of the deck.
Right. Which mathematically decreases a lot. So Rude's got Jack 9 offsuit, and Nick has 7-6 offsuit.
There's the Osman waking up with pocket kings.
Yeah, we really haven't seen many big hands pre-flop. We've seen a pocket queens a time or two, but there haven't been many big hands pre. It looks like it's just going to be a raise and take it situation.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, he started the night with 800. He's up $300 right now.
Rhonda's sharing something on the cell phone. I think so far she's definitely leading the league on the phone. She's maybe been on her phone and chatting with us more than she's had playable hands, but that's what you have to do sometimes if you don't get cards.
Yeah, you keep your mind occupied so you don't play too many bad hands.
Sure, especially if you're sitting that deep, which buying in with 10K, definitely leading the way at the table. Chaz starting to build some of his stack back.
Wait, that's some random guy? Yeah. Oh, what the? I have like 500. People are weirdos. Wow.
See, that never happens to guys. They're never gonna leave you a message.
Tell you, give Chris kudos. Being able to, if a dealer goes home and you're just going to tap in that long in a game of this magnitude, that's takes some mental wherewithal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, don't forget, if you guys want to come out to play at Rounders Card Club, we're open 24 hours a day right now. We've switched it a few weeks ago. So you can play here 24/7. We are located at 3723 Colony Drive, Suite 101, San Antonio, Texas. We are right off of I-10 and Wurzbach, just up the hill past the HEB. And you can call the front desk if you need more information at 210-361-3325. Right now we have 6 1-2 no limit hold'em games going on, and we have 2 5-5 Big O games going on right now. So if you're a fan of Omaha Big O, you get 5 cards, play 2 and 2 cards only.
Look, Rockin' Ron is going to flop
Flop
quads right here, but nobody, Chaz has nothing. Seems like a waste of a flopped quads. But
She could bet $10 and no one would even think about
no,
calling.
you're not there. Definitely still feels good to flop quads and win the hand, but you'd like somebody to have something there.
We have our PLO free roll tonight that starts at 6:30. We had 41 entries, $1,000 guaranteed. The prize pool is $1,320. So first place is going to be paying $440.
Hey, look, they got our names on the screen.
Yep, I'm JT, and with me tonight is Tony. Thanks for coming in tonight, Tony. Doing a great job.
Indeed. Appreciate it.
Also, the Big Bounty $1,000 guaranteed tournament's going on right now.
Yeah, there's certainly no lack of tournament action here. Any type of tournament that you prefer, to the free rolls, to the bigger buy-ins, to the intermediate buy-ins, Rounders really has everything to offer that you can think of. So Taco's going to wake up with a pair. Taco's been pretty silent. We really haven't seen him in action much, but you figure he's probably going to see a flop here with pocket threes. He actually raised a 20.
And Big Daddy Chaz is going to come along with the ace-jack offsuit.
With Chaz with that many chips, he's going to see a lot of flops. He's got a pretty good hand here. He might consider 3-betting, actually. He is.
This is something nice. We actually get to see Mike Stone's hand.
Oh, what do you know? Maybe it's just like something with where he is at the table and how it's reading the cards. If we've had difficulty picking up his hands, because there has been a few times we just don't know what Stone has had.
Right.
Rhonda back in texting phone land again, so she's just waiting on a hand or two.
Yep, she's just relaxed.
So as we go to the flop here, threes versus ace-8 versus ace-jack, and Big Daddy Chaz was the 3-better pre-flop.
Taco flops a set of threes.
So we're definitely going to see.
And he checks it. He's trapping. Chaz has the ace-high flush draw. He needs a club, and any club will be good because it will not pair the board.
Well, you figure Taco was going to check here because Chaz, being the 3-better, was going to continue, just because that's kind of his style, even though that's a tough, coordinated board, suited and connected. Chaz actually bet 750, and now Taco's going to deliberate on whatever he feels. Oh, it looks like, yeah, actually, we missed some of what the action was there because there must have been a raise.
Chaz bet 150, and Nacho went all in, I believe.
Okay.
And then Chaz snap folded.
Makes sense. Because, yeah, Chaz can't continue. He's just got backdoor runner as far as clubs.
He's got check raised all in, so he...
Yeah, you can't continue there.
The Big Bounty tournament going on tonight at Rounders Card Club. There is 47 minutes left. There's 23 players, guaranteed $1,000. You guys want to come out and play? Come to Rounders Card Club.
So even so that there's been some activity and Chaz has become more active, we really haven't seen like a big hand versus a big hand. We haven't seen any what you'd call car crashes or anything like that so far in tonight's game.
No kings versus queens, no aces versus ace-king, nothing.
Yeah, nothing like that. It's been pretty straightforward poker with the exception of Chaz dictating a lot of the tempo.
See, I like Sam if he plays the 5-3 of hearts.
I don't see why you wouldn't want to play that
For
hand
$15?
sometimes. If you're in position, especially, you should be playing those hands. In my opinion, just because it mixes up your range, confuses players. They don't always know what hands you're playing.
Mike Stone and Big Daddy Chaz are going to get involved with Jack 10 versus Queen 9. They both need each other's cards to make straights. Last time the board was flop the pair, Mike bet and Chaz raised, so I think it could go check here.
Yeah, nobody's really got anything here. It's a matter of who the aggressor is.
Mike Stone turns the jack, but Chaz wakes up. Well, Chaz has a gutter, straight flush draw, a flush draw, and he could make a straight and the overpair. The queen could.
340.
That's a considerable amount of turned equity, and the way Chaz plays, you know that he's going to bet here. Setting up, if he makes one of those hands on the river, that he can get a big bet in.
He needs a black queen or diamond, not the any diamond, really. Oh. The 2 comes off on the river, giving Stone the best hand. Jackson 8 with a 10 kicker. Stone leads out on a river for 350.
11 and a quarter.
I believe Chaz raised. You hear it, you couldn't quite make out what he said, but it looks like he made
did raise
made a
to
big raise.
1,100.
This is definitely making a move. It's going to apply some pressure to Stone, who really has a tough situation, tough call here.
Was Chaz betting the deuce and he got there? Does he have a better jack or does he have the 8? Mike makes a great call.
He flips his hand right over right away, saying that I just don't believe you. I think I have the best hand. Chaz shows the bluff.
Chaz shows the queen 9.
Which is okay to advertise there, because if you're going to be betting in that situation, you want to let your opponents know that you're capable and willing to bluff there. So the next time when you make a move like that, you might indeed have it and get paid the max.
Yeah, and Mike bet 350 and Chaz made it 11.25 or 11.50 on top. That's a huge raise.
Definitely player dependent. You also think in that situation too that Stone really hasn't had that many hands and hasn't had a lot of hands where he's had top pair scenarios. So sometimes you get a little sticky and you don't want to let it go in that spot.
Chaz is reloading.
Yeah, he likes to play that aggressive style, so having chips is certainly an important.
Well, he puts the pressure on you. You know, that's a
does.
tough call.
He does, but that's why he likes to sit deep, because he wants to be able to apply that pressure in those situations.
And he showed that bluff. I think set someone up.
Oh,
unfortunately, someone's going to get caught in his hands.
It's advertising for sure. That's the whole point of doing it.
Let's get those VPIPs out there. I want to see where Abe is at now.
Oh, I mean, I don't know how many hands Abe's played, but it's probably in the teens somewhere, just because he did at least see that one flop. He hasn't played that many hands, but it has to be considerably higher than 0. We know that.
He's coming out raising. Abe's going to get out of the way with a queen deuce. Rudy's going to call 20 with the king 10 offsuit.
There we see.
I'm surprised. I'm thinking Taco's going to play as well, yeah.
As we go to the flop there, you could actually see what Ronda is looking at on the internet. It's kind of curious. She doesn't seem like she's talking much in the game. She's just kind of staying focused and, like you said, just staying out of the way, staying mentally occupied, not to make any mistakes. We go to the flop, and it's going to be Chaz flopping the best hand with just a pair of 5s.
He still has the best hand.
Taco did have a gutter ball, but alas, nothing on the turn.
Yeah, Rudy needs a queen or a king. And the 5s are going to take down this $80 pot.
Assuming that nobody takes some type of move or stab, but there hasn't been any relative interest in this pot so far.
Any bet would take it down, most likely.
It looks that way.
Check. The screens aren't synced? Who's on top? 59% VP.
Chaz, after getting caught in a few difficult situations the past few hands and then caught bluffing on that river, sometimes just taking down a small pot is a confidence booster.
Right, he raised, he got called with everybody having overcards other than Nick had one overcard. Flops a 5 and takes it down.
Right. But sometimes for a good player, too, just getting a little small micro win like that actually can do a lot for your confidence. Not that there's any shortage of that as far as personality-wise.
Right,
He's got
right.
tons of confidence and is definitely willing to play wide open and make moves at any time. But certainly game flow, how you feel, winning a few hands definitely helps you to feel a little better and can make you more prone to continue that type of aggression.
Looks like we got double straddle going again. Yaya is not scared to double straddle every time.
You know, so poker, especially if played appropriately, it can be a little boring. I'm not saying that, like, you know, we're professionals. We don't want to get, like, carried away here on the air, but it's too bad they can't hear us live and they did send a drink in or two or something, because certainly can make things a little more exciting. We haven't seen any drinking at the table, actually, tonight, which, out of curiosity, like, Chaz said that he would only drink if people drank, and so far there hasn't been any of that.
There's a missed deal. Mike Stone grabbed one of Ronda's cards, so
See? I was just like, get that out of here. Throw that in the muck. Quit touching my cards.
yep. Let's move on. We got some straddles out here.
Certainly, the straddles have come from Ronda and then the double straddle from Yaya. That's now the third time we've seen the straddle and the double straddle. You know, Chaz loves this. Chomping at the bit after 2 straddles, and he's sitting there right after that, in the aggressor in the game. Loves it.
Yeah, he's waiting to get his card so he can put out 250, 225, and narrow the field down.
Well, he loves it because, like, he's going to do it with a hand, and then he's going to do it without a hand a lot of times.
It was very accurate. It was an easy decision background.
Yeah, Sam's not going to do a triple straddle, that's for sure.
It's a little risky.
Yeah, especially when you get king 6.
Well, straddles are always a little risky because they're mathematically arbitrary hands that you have no idea what you get. What happens if you get jack 3 offsuit and you've triple straddled, and then you got to play the hand out of position on top of it?
Right. You have to rep you have a better hand.
Well, right, but that's hard to do.
Yeah.
You have to
Someone's going to wake up with a better hand.
yeah, well, maybe, but you have to have follow through and heart, at least, if nothing else.
Chaz did elect to fold. There we go. Back to Mike Stone having 2 black cards.
Well, so maybe that seat really is dead because other than that one hand where Abe won, we haven't seen Abe see very many flops. So maybe it's just a bad hole, bad seat in this game. It definitely happens.
Well, look who's to his right.
Well, that certainly dictates a lot of it as well because he's going to it's a tough position, tough seat draw to play at the table, actually.
For sure.
That's probably even more reason, as you mentioned now, that Robert would have played so tight from that position.
Yeah, and it's a random seat draw, so everybody goes over there and picks a card, finds out where they're sitting. No one gets to pick a seat. So you don't know who you're going to sit next to.
Well, and people respect Chaz's game and what he brings to the table. So as we go to the flop here, we can't see Stone's.
Mike Stone did bet 350, and is going to take it down, but we don't know what he has.
Right. 6-10, 6-4 on the turn. So this is a $1,200 pot, but obviously Ace Deuce cannot continue. So there's your winnings. Yaya so far is the big winner. Stone booking 1.4K win. Abe coming in and up 305. Demand 295. Everybody else either just a little below the Mendoza line or booking small losses.
And we're going for a bomb pot.
The bomb pot's actually sometimes, as far as like what you would call an action game, there's been a little more action in these hands.
Abe is at 16%.
Well, I told you it was in the
VPIP.
teens. That was what my guess was. Which he hasn't really been there that many hands, maybe a round and a half at most. So, out of curiosity, the stats that they're tracking, is the VPIP count in these hands? I guess it couldn't
No,
if
not
Robert's
in the
was 0.
not in the bomb pot.
Right, makes sense. So we'll see if anything interesting happens here. These are always the ones that are harder to read because when you put the cards on the screen, there's so many more cards. Just like if we were playing PLO.
Mike Stone has everything right there as far as draws. He's got 80% of a royal flush, open-end straight draw, king-high flush. Everybody else is getting out of the way.
Well, open-ended, that's the curious one where it's like one-ended, right? So because he has the Jack 10, but has the King Jack rather, but has to hit the 10.
Well, he can hit the king, 10, or jack.
Oh, that's right.
He can hit all those cards.
That's actually a pretty good combo to have there.
Plus the flush. Rudy's going to make the call with actually 2 pairs, the best hand. I think Mike Stone's going to continue his draw potential so big.
He definitely flopped really good, but as to this point, it's not improved.
He's wondering if his flush draw is good too, though, with the 2 pair. I think that's why he's going to call.
Well, sure.
If a heart gets there, he might not like it.
Yeah, there's no way to know what your opponent has, especially in a bomb pot. It's really difficult to put your opponents on hands and range hands because really, realistically, you could have anything.
What a raise, too. He's going to apply pressure.
I mean,
He's not all in. Unfortunately, the graphic is off a little bit.
he does have the hand to do it. I mean, he does have 2 pair with the flush draw, which, as you mentioned, he might perceive that flush draw would be good if the flush shows.
And Mike has to have a king, 10, jack, or a heart to hit. And Rudy makes a full house. 6 is full of queens. Mike bricked it.
And he's going to win.
Oh, he's going to bet into Rudy.
Wow.
Trying to rep a better hand, and Rudy's just going to snap
call.
He's going to say, look how big this hand is. Rudy says, I got this. He goes, how do you call me with that? Oh, my gosh.
Well, but Rudy was the one that made the raise on the turn, right?
Yes.
With the 2 pair and the flush draw. But you understand, like, not going anywhere with that good of a hand and that much equity on going to the river.
Rudy takes down a nice pot.
I think, are you like my brother? You're one of those people that you're like a camel. You like drink fluid, never have to go to the bathroom. Where I'm like the opposite. I drink a lot of fluid and I have to go to the bathroom all the time. My brother does. We'll go fishing for like 14 hours. The guy barely drinks any water, never goes to the bathroom, and then he doesn't eat. And then at the end of the day, he'll just eat and eat and eat. But I don't see how he does it. Maybe you're in that camel variety as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
We joke with my brother sometimes, but it's I guess some of it's a mental discipline, but I don't see how he does it.
This is my military training.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's also too, I think that I have, not that everybody at home needs to know, but I drink a lot of fluid and I feel like I have a relatively small bladder, so it's annoying. You have to go to the bathroom a lot. Wonder if what's the chat up to? Is the chat saying anything interesting or cool, or is anything we should know about?
No, it's all just Mike Diaz just said whoa on the hand right there where Mike Stone missed.
Yeah, it's a
But other than that,
pretty big bluff to fire it in there too.
we're doing great on likes. Thank you, everybody, for all the likes we've gotten. Hopefully we get some more. We are trying to give you some overtime if we get up to 70 likes.
How many likes are we at currently?
We're at 30 right now.
30.
Unless I reset it, maybe I have more.
What are your average broadcasts? Were you average on a typical broadcast, I should say?
Couldn't tell you.
Fair enough. Just curious.
We do 2 streams a week every month, so
yeah, just wondering if you took a look at those numbers and what you typically knew. So, because we could tell the viewers and listeners at home if it was reaching that like record territory. Where you?
No, not the record.
Right? Do you have any idea what the record is?
I would say we had close to 100 or more.
That's pretty good.
One of our.
It's pretty good. Flopping trips. Yaya continues to run good. Not sure what Stone has again. There definitely must be something with the reader or the spot where the cards are going, because Stone has been the one with the highest propensity we haven't been able to see his cards.
Yeah, well, Mike sometimes doesn't want you to know what he's playing.
You think that's what it is?
It could be that. because the reader is right there on his right hand.
Is that where the club is? Is that actually the reader
club,
on the table?
Yeah, all the clubs are the reader.
So how does that work? Obviously our producers and directors are in the fancy room in there. But if that was to happen, are they going to go out and scold and or admonish any players if we can't see their cards?
No.
Oh, there's no rubber hammer or like any blow-up hammer or something they can hit them on the head with? Be like, come on, man. Like, you got to put your cards on the RFD reader.
They should go there with a train air horn.
A train air horn?
It
seems like it would work.
You know? But, sometimes the players don't want them to see it, or they just – and it's funny because all they have to do is lay the club on there. Like, you'll see them rub them kind of hard sometimes on the felt. You don't have to do that. Just lay it down.
Right.
It'll read it.
Well, you do wonder if it's on purpose then.
Yeah. Looks like Chad's going to double straddle. Ousman is going to straddle.
That's a big double straddle. That's a double straddle to 75, which for a game playing 5-5, that's bigger than usual.
And Abe is going to come in, raise his VPIP.
You wonder sometimes if Chaz playing in these games, because it's 5-5, it's smaller than a lot of the games he's used to. And not that it would be boring, but that he's going to want to push the tempo a little bit, like in a situation like here?
I don't know. I mean, Chaz's game is, he'll play 1-3 to 10-25. I mean,
sure.
He'll play every range, and he's the same player at any level. He's always applying pressure.
Sure.
And he's trying to, if he has the best hand, he's going to make you pay him. And if you have the best hand, he's going to try and make you fold.
Definitely, as we talked about it before, in situations like that where aggression wins. So as we go to the flop here, trying to get
Oh, wow. Wakes up pair over pair.
Well, you know that Chaz will see a flop with pocket sevens. Abe is
pocket eights. My goodness.
He's the aggressor here. Pre-flop.
No one's going to be scared of that, I don't think. Jack, deuce.
More than likely
Look
not.
at Chaz. Like, he just wants to know if you bet.
Character, for sure.
He's going to make one call.
He's checking in the dark.
Oh, no. They could both make a flush. Check, check, check. If they were to bet, there'd be an easy call.
I haven't done anything yet. I'm deciding what I want to do.
Chaz says, I'm not looking. Gabe knows he has the best hand. No paint came out. Chaz just called.
I think I want to do that. I can't take it back now. I have 2 sevens.
Abe with a quick call. Chaz goes, golly, are you serious?
Yeah, that's called pipped.
Man.
When you're just beat or beat by 1, that's called pipped.
I lose the hands.
Abe with very generous tip. Very nice.
Yeah, he's the hand that he won previously. He tipped $10, and it's a relatively small pot, so generous tipping for sure.
Chaz straddles to 75, wakes up with pocket sevens, gets Abe pre-raising with pocket eights.
So Chaz definitely has the highest VPIP in this game, but you would certainly say that he's not really running so good so far in this game. He's made some moves, but he really hasn't had cards, and that's pretty unlucky there. 7s against 8s in the straddle, too, because you don't put a guy in a hand like that.
Well, the mixed game Mike put out there that our second seat replacement has taken their seat, and we had to go to a tiebreaker to determine who had to step aside because the VPIPs were even.
What were they? Does it say what they were tied at?
No, we'll see.
Does our magical booth and their Lucky Charms in there? Did they have any idea?
Yeah, they know. We just don't know.
Fair enough. Well, whatever they're doing behind that closed door, if they had any idea, it'd be cool to know.
Well, if I have to guess who has a low VPIP right now,
it's
golly, who could it be?
Well, we'd have to be watching. There's so much going on in so many hands, it's really hard to be able to tell. Exactly, because you'd have to be really dialed in watching every single one.
No, it's not Chaz.
No, it's definitely not Chaz. He has his VPIP is close to 60%, so it's definitely not Chaz.
I wonder if it could be Sam in seat 2 and maybe Rudy in seat 7.
Well, the thing is, too, is the game flow.
Or maybe Nick.
The game flow is going to be a half hour behind, so it's going to take a little while for the video to catch up to see who actually changes out from the table.
It could be Nick in seat 5.
I'll tell you what, maybe what I'll do, because I am hydrated, I'll step out there and see if I can't get a visual of who it is, because it's hard to see everybody at the table,
Yeah, for sure.
and then we'll see what's going on.
We're going to send Tony out to go scout the table, see what's going on. Ronda flops trips with the ace-10, ace-9 ace. Gets Big Daddy Chaz's 8-3.
If you showed a 10, you had me beat.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate the like. If you guys want to like and subscribe, we appreciate it. We've got a lot of donations tonight through the super chat. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, John. Really appreciate that. Chris is doing a great job dealing tonight. He's going to be in the box the whole time, I believe. Mike went home sick, who was going to be the switch out dealer. Hope you feel better, Mike. Nick's going to fold the 8-9 offsuit. Rudy's out of the way. Mike Stone's going to show us his cards this time. He has the ace-king offsuit. Raises to $100. Yaya has Jack-10. He's going to play a hand.
Yes. Thank you.
Sam's going to get out of the way.
I bet 15 dark.
Four-way action. King 9-9. Mike Stone's going to flop 2 pair with the ace kicker.
They fold him?
Ace King's looking good. He has backdoor spades.
Let's see.
Yaya's going to get out of the way. Chaz is doing the I'm not going to look yet. Gets out of the way. Wanted to see a 10-10 king flop instead of a 9-9 king. All right, coming up in August 3rd, we're going to have a 1-2-3 no limit hold'em stream, and then Thursday the 5th will be the same 1-2-3 no limit hold'em.
Oh, King 7. Jeez.
Then August 10th we are going to have a 1-3 no limit hold'em, and then August 12th we are coming back. Such a great stream, ladies' night. The ladies did a phenomenal job playing and such a good show. We're going to bring it back again in August. And then August 17th, we're going to do a 5-5 short deck game. If you know what short deck is, you take out the 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the deck, 16 cards less, and you play Hold'em, but the flush will beat a full house.
Sure.
Then the 19th of August, we're coming back with the El Thunderbird and Friends, a 5-5 no-limit hold'em game. The 24th of August, we are going to come back with a 1-3 short deck game. And then on the 26th, we're going to come to you with Bubbles and her buddies are going to play 5-5 pot limit Omaha. Bubbles been on the stream a few times. She played Ladies Night. She played the other, I don't remember what stream she was on. She played a few weeks ago, and then she's going to have her own stream. It's going to be Bubbles and Buddies, 5-5 pot limit Omaha on August 26th.
Is that on me, is it?
Ace King 6 flop offsuit. Nick has 125 out there. Nick's going to take it down. Ace King of Ace 10 of diamonds. Chaz likes that 5-4 suited.
Sorry, my betting blind is not
So you can see the winners right there. Yaya's up $2,000. He did buy in tonight for $2,500, so he has about $4,500 from. Maybe a little more. No, it looks pretty accurate. We are now open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So come on out to Rounders Card Club, 3723 Colony Drive, Suite 101, located off of I-10 in Wurzbach, just up the hill past HEB on your right. August 4th through the 8th, we are going to have the Summer Sizzler, $200,000 guaranteed tournament, $40,000 for first place. It's a $300 buy-in.
Wait, are we going to do that broadcaster thing that where you stand? Like, they're actually, you know, and a lot of broadcasters are doing that now. The broadcasters stand, which, you know the reason why.
No, I don't.
So it's for better breathing. You actually get better enunciation. Air flows better over the vocal cords. So, like, a lot of the big-time broadcasts, they're standing now that you just don't always realize it. I think the new player is, you will know the players and their names better than I do from being here consistently. I believe it is whoever is to the left of Abe. Is the new player that's rotated in. Not sure who that is or what their name is. You can't see him on camera just yet, and they haven't changed. He's wearing it's the person I think is wearing a green shirt that's swapped in there.
Okay. Yeah, I was figuring Nick had a low VPIP, or higher than Robert's, of course, but he's been playing pretty close to the vest.
Pretend like this isn't existing, right?
Yaya's just making hands. Top pair.
He's definitely run the best in this game so far.
This isn't, yeah. But she's interacting with what's going
Of course, we can't see what Big Daddy Chaz has. He could easily have the 3.
on. It's a different dimension.
Yeah, it's one of
But-
those he folds, so he didn't really have anything.
Right, Yaya's going to bet 75 and take it down.
Yaya's won a lot of hands uncontested as well, too, which certainly you know that you're running good if you just have the best hand, you bet it. Like, obviously, you want to get value when you have way the best hand, like when he had the full house in that bomb pot.
Yeah, he's up over $2,000, so he's making some hands.
Yeah, in any game, that's going to be a good win. Unless you're playing, like, super high stakes. This one's just 5-5, but a 2K win in a 5-5 game is pretty substantial so far.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, and he's not sitting with the depth that Ronda or Chaz is either.
Right, and they can easily get mixed up in a hand where you could be down 2,000 very quickly.
Yeah, you feel like at some point, because they're sitting so deep and the level of type of player that they both are, that there's going to be a hand that dictates the outcomes of this game and the chip stacks. It's just a matter of when that happens. Ronda so far, she's really just kind of been biding her time, and her perceived target for this game hasn't been in the game yet. So she's definitely just kind of waiting and biding her time patiently.
Yep, here we go again. Yaya's going to raise with the ace-6 offsuit to 75, and Chaz is going to power over him for $225. And Yaya's just going to get out of the way. That's the pressure Chaz applies.
That is pressure, but also Yaya is booking a win and playing pretty well too. So if you have somebody in position behind you that's applying that type of aggression, you don't have to get in any trouble. Like, there's a relatively small open there, and then facing the aggression, you know that he's going to continue and is not scared for that aggression. Why not just let it go? Like, wait for a better spot.
Yeah, and Yaya's calling with any better kicker. I mean, if it's
Well, sure. Maybe
a 10 or higher.
Maybe ace-8 suited.
I think 10 higher.
Think so?
To call a raise like that.
Sure.
I think an 8 might be too low, unless it's suited or something. But
right, if it's suited.
if it's offsuit, I'd say ace-10 off would be the weakest hand he could call with.
Oh, makes sense. In the seat 6 there, that big orange button that's to the left of the chips, do you know what that is?
That's the bomb pot button.
Oh, okay.
So every time the regular button and the bomb pot button meet, that's when they have a bomb pot.
Right on. Yeah, because we've seen those a couple times. So every half hour?
On the half hour. So
the voice of God, a.k.a. our producer director, says that
next game Mike is in our ear.
Right, doing bomb pots 15 minutes to the next bomb pot. So they're every half hour. So is that button just meaningless?
No, because that's where they start dealing from.
Okay.
So whoever has the bomb putt button, that's
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
that's the actual button, so they go backwards.
Of course, just like in the regular cash
Yeah.
game. Sure.
So Abe with his pocket nines gets outflopped by Big Daddy Chaz with the ace-6.
Well, I say cash game. So here at Rounders,
Oh, my gosh. Abe turns a set.
big time.
Oh, my goodness.
And Chaz with the
Oh,
best
my
hand here, you know
God.
that he won't be afraid to continue, but a big turn set type of spot that Abe's waiting for.
I think Big Daddy Chaz can get away with it since he has such a marginal kicker with the 6.
He could, but it really depends on
Ace-9, ace-queen,
Depends on what the-
ace-5 beats you.
what the bet size is. That's what it depends on.
375 repping the best hand.
The other factor,
Oh,
too,
my
is,
gosh.
well, Chaz is a little stuck. You don't always make the
Oh,
best decisions
no.
when you're stuck. He's going to have a real tough time getting away from it now because now the board's paired, and you have to have precisely pocket 9s to be beat here. Chaz just turns away and acts all nonchalant. Again, if we could hear the things being said at the table, he definitely leads the league in gameplay and funny things being said and table dynamic antics.
Well, he's right now, I guarantee he's thinking, I bet with the ace, Abe's going to call me with the queen, and then he rivered a queen on me.
It's pretty gross.
But no, he turned the set.
Right.
And you're thinking he might have got the queen. Oh, no. He's about to pay it off.
It's a bad river. Like a lot of other rivers, you could let this hand go, but you see that he's not happy about it. He's pretty disgusted.
Because Abe could have been leading out with a flush draw, a straight draw.
And again, Chaz is a little stuck, so sometimes in those situations, you're not playing your optimal game, and you think that maybe your hand's good when it, alas, is not.
Oh, Abe had a little chuckle, but
Well, of course.
Chaz is not enjoying it.
So Abe's run a little better than Robert did in that seat, that's for sure.
Yeah, Robert didn't get the chance to see the pocket 9s.
No, he did not. Because sometimes, so they have that rule where the lowest VPIP gets voted off the island. Sometimes, if you're playing proper strat and you just don't have anything, it's a matter of a patience waiting game, but he didn't get the opportunity to do that.
In 7 minutes. It's on time.
Yep. Abe is enjoying that seat a lot more than Robert did.
Well, I mean, it's pretty common to go card dead for an hour.
Yeah, easy. Easy.
Happens all the
he was
time.
getting the King 5, 9, 3 is the only cards I wrote down that it showed an ace queen, but it was raised in early position, so I can see him getting away from
Well,
that.
think about how many sessions you play where there's just days that you're card dead for hours.
I'm never card dead because I really don't play Hold'em. I play every mixed game.
Well, that's different.
So mixed games, you have so many more options.
Of course.
So I really haven't had a session where I haven't played a lot of.
Yeah, if you don't play,
Once I play Big
Hold'em,
O.
but with only 2 cards in your hand, there's lots of opportunities where you're just not going to have anything. But yeah, mixed games, there's so many more options that you have in your hand for sure. Wait, so is that why they call him mixed game Mike? Because he's the king of the mixed games?
He's the organizer.
Oh, I got you. So
He started it out for us, and now he can't get rid of us.
Fair enough. So, appears there's, is that a straddle? Or it looks
Yeah, because Mike Stone is the small blind. Yes.
right, I would think so. Because Yaya's been the one that's been consistently straddling or double straddling.
Yeah, and I don't think Sam's going to straddle, but we're going to get a new deck into play. Chris doing a great job powering through dealing this whole time,
Indeed.
but looks like the dividends are going to be worth it.
Well, I mean,
Abe's been very, very gracious.
you would think all these players would be pretty good tippers.
Oh,
especially-
yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. Everybody that plays at Rounders, whether they're on the main floor or on the stream, everybody's pretty generous.
Right. Well, in a game like this, with having regular players that are adept at playing bigger games, live stream games, you would feel like the dealer's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody plays here every day.
Sure.
Rhonda might not play every day, but she plays every day.
She's here a lot.
Abe-
Wait, she
Abe-
might not play here every day, but she plays every day?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. I follow you on that one.
Abe plays here every day.
Right.
Nick plays here every day. Chaz plays everywhere, but he plays here.
Well,
most-
if I've
Rudy
seen,
plays here, you know,
I've seen Chaz at Texas Card House a lot. He plays on the live streams there, but he's generally here quite a bit.
the only person I really didn't know that well is Yaya. Everybody else plays here every day.
Right.
I mean, Mike Stone, you know, he plays a lot bigger game also.
So a reg heavy
But-
pro game for sure.
But Taco plays here every day. Rudy plays every day. Nick plays every day. Chaz.
If Taco plays
Sam
every day,
plays a lot.
is sour cream here on the waiting list if Taco's on the table?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. What about cheddar cheese?
I don't know about that, but refried could be. in the
Refried
house.
beans?
Could be in the house. Oh, don't forget about the Rounders Bar and Grill. What's it?
They're back there making it happen. I tell you, they work
Man,
hard.
the chefs are doing a phenomenal job. The menu here is outstanding.
Yeah, the menu is like pretty large actually. But the servers, I've gotten to know quite a few of them actually, just from being at the bar and like ordering drinks and things. Like the service here is very good. People are very kind and friendly, and it's very fast.
Right. And our porters are still here every day cleaning and wiping down, disinfecting all the chairs, all the tables. So you have a safe environment. You see not too many players are wearing their masks. There are a few out there on the main floor still wearing masks. But overall, they're still cleaning the tables and chairs every time there's a table change or seat change.
Sure, most definitely.
And Nick, with the King Jack, outflops Taco's Jack Jack. He should come out firing. The pot's pretty big, $510 pre-flop.
I think you have to be committed to wear like that type of garb or mask. I always joke that players that wear their sunglasses 100% of the time at the table are they're very committed. You know, with sunglasses too, it gets a little dark wearing them all the time. I think you'd want to take them off, but there's a few players that wear them all the time.
I actually just bought the Bose glasses that have the music. They're Bluetooth.
Really?
So they have no earbuds. They just shoot music into your ears, and
that's pretty sick.
They are pretty nice.
Shoot music into your ears.
Yeah.
Like, that's an onomatopoeia, but I'd love, like, it just sounds like super
It's like
curious.
it's directed. I don't know how they did it, but it's directed into your ear where you can sit beside me and play on the table and you won't hear my music.
That must be something where it works with, it's putting vibrations into your ear. And, like the technology is pretty advanced there. It's cool.
Yaya bet 175 with needing a gutter ball. Just
He's
a
got
6?
a straight draw and a flush draw there. Or no, you're right.
No,
8-5,
just a
I was
gutter.
thinking it was
Just a
hearts,
6.
but missaw it.
Nick does raise.
It could be one of those, too, where Yaya's run pretty good, and you set up a table image of if you've played pretty solid, that sometimes you can try to make a move and get one through. Might be a spot, but I don't know if Nick's going to be willing to fold here, because Nick's not really been.
Nick raised.
Makes
So,
sense, because
I'm wondering
he's been in not that many hands, and he hasn't won that many hands.
I wonder if Chaz is going to call, hoping to catch another 7 or a 3 for 2 pair.
He's capable, but
It's only 175 more to win 1,300.
you see that he's definitely thinking about it.
Sure. And that's exactly why he's calling. A 7 or a 3, he knows he's good. And he can take down a $1,400 pot, excuse me.
Not to be, though.
The 8 does not help.
There's still the eligibility to make a move and rep a hand.
They went check, check. Nick's going to turn over to winner.
You just never know what Chaz has, too. Sometimes, like, you've got a strong enough hand where you can realize your equity and take the pot down, and Chaz is capable, if you bet, of blasting off. You just never know.
Yeah, the 8 was a card that could have made a straight, too.
So Chaz bought in a second time. We know the first 2 times he was in for 8K. I'm not sure what he added the second time, but he's slowly working his way back towards getting out of Stucksville.
Oh, he's going to straddle.
That's a big straddle.
It is a $100 straddle? Or does it automatically just double? Or does it can be any amount?
I'm not sure. I don't know how that's working in this game because the straddle before, I think Yaya was straddled to 60 before, so you would think because the black chips out there. No, maybe he doesn't have small chips, so maybe it is just a double
He has some
straddle.
green ones, but no red.
Yeah.
So it could be a $100. Could be a
I think
$10
it's
straddle, then
I
a
think
$100
it's a
straddle.
$30 straddle, and he just doesn't have the red chips, as you mentioned.
61% VPIP. Damn, that's tight. Not bad.
You better look then, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna call.
Rudy got the quesadilla from the kitchen. There's Ronda with pocket 10s. She's going to bump it up a little bit, maybe 250.
Yeah, we haven't seen Ronda in a hand of any substantial value in quite some time, actually.
She has something playable. I also want to see what Chaz is going to look her up with. He's definitely going to call with his straddle out there. Jack 7 off. He's looking for the jack. And Yaya came along with 5-6. Oh, if Ronda makes a set, Chaz is going to have a straight.
Yeah,
If Chaz hits a 7, Yaya is going to make a straight.
with having the pocket 10s, though, that blocks the gutter. There's only 2 outs to the straight for Chaz to get there. He doesn't know that, but it makes it a lot harder.
Again, he could call 400, open to catch a jack or the 10. Take down a.
Yeah, he has a character, too. Look at all the charisma that he
And there
folds
is a
with
call. There is a call.
there. That's a brick.
Yep, I see Ronda putting out about 900 to 1,000.
You think she's going to continue aggression here?
Okay, 800.
Especially after not winning a hand for a while, you're going to stay steady aggressive when you've actually finally got a hand.
The lady knows how to play the
Most-
Texas Hold'em.
Most definitely. Like you mentioned before, she's no slouch. She's not one that you want to see at your average table, that's for sure.
No, again, if she's betting, you're in trouble.
It's unfortunate that we had the build-up and the storyline of Ronda, wanting to buy in so deep to teach San Marcos Rob a lesson, but so far we haven't seen San Marcos Rob at the table, right?
Right, and Rob is one of our dealers here that she's targeting.
It's really disappointing because
So-
that was the major storyline we had, and I did have some more to add, but it doesn't even make any sense if we don't see Rob at the table. It's just kind of inconsequential. And
Yeah, he's on the list, but
Right.
unfortunately he's not playing.
well, somebody has to either get voted off the island or decide to leave. You see at the Rude currently is sitting at 12 VPIP with Usman tied at 12. So how does that work? Is it every hour somebody's voted out? Or do we know how that works? With
It
the
must
lowest
be. It
VPIP?
must be every hour.
So what do they do if they're tied? Do they flip a coin?
Well, I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but
Does one person order a beer and another person orders a mixed drink from different servers, and whoever shows up first is off? I want to know what the deciding factor
what's the
is.
criteria?
Correct.
Let's find out.
Aggression frequency?
Is a tiebreaker?
Are you so? The producer says that it's aggression frequency. Are you magical statisticians keeping track of aggression frequency in the booth as well?
It's on one of our charts.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
more kudos to the booth because, all right, so as a broadcaster and as we're calling this game as the announcers, we certainly thank everybody for tuning in to the live stream and anybody that's supported and or given us a tip, a like, anything. But we have to give kudos to the booth, all the people behind the scenes that make it run. All right, I've actually been to broadcasting school, but I want you to know that when you put together a broadcast, we're just two people. A majority of what goes on behind the scenes, and there's a tremendous amount of work down to the camera work, the coordinating, the stats, the VPIP that's put together, all the graphics. So we just want to give this opportunity to give a thanks to our booth, everybody that's doing all the things behind the scenes that makes it look a little more effortless for us.
And let me say this about the booth. I don't think they do anything, honestly.
What? That's
I
so
think-
disrespectful.
I think he's just watching the game, enjoying it.
You ever know how that works? Whenever somebody gives somebody praise, there's always the hater right behind to tear it down. So apparently JT is the hater today.
I'm just trying to get Mixed Game Mike to get all fired up for tomorrow night's Mixed
Just
Games.
knowing what I know about
So
Mixed
he'll
Game
come
Mike,
at me.
I don't think he's going to get that fired up. He seems like he's a pretty laid-back personality type.
Oh, Auburn Rob is coming in to take Sam's seat. Sam's going to take a break, and Auburn Rob is going to come in.
Well, so it's those slick rounders chips you see as Sam is exiting the table. those chips are so slick for people that are watching the live stream that may not play here. They're such good chips, but they're very slick that sometimes you drop them. Sam was active in the game and booking a win. We'll have to see what the final totals are. He was one of those. Sometimes you take what the game flow and what the situation gives you. Was certainly getting some hands early, but really hasn't had much since then.
Right, he's up maybe $200.
In my opinion, too, if you play a game of this caliber, game selection is vitally important. I don't want to play against the best players in the room all the time or for that long, and I sure as heck do not want somebody like Chaz that's just aggressive, 2 spots behind me.
Yeah.
Makes it really hard to play in the game.
And he applies pressure to everybody on the table. He
Of
doesn't
course.
care where you're at.
But if you're out of position, that you're in the worst spot to be playing against a player type like that.
Mike Stone did just show pocket jacks for jacks full of 5s on the bomb pot.
A pretty good hand. And especially in a bomb pot where you really don't have any idea what somebody has. That's a stronger than average hand for sure.
I think that was the last person that kicked off.
So it says down there at the bottom, you mentioned the 24 hours. It says 7 days a week, and it says that's right. Well, you understand, so I've been here right in the transition when they started to go here, 24 hours. You have to have the staff. You have to have the capability. If you don't have enough staff, you really can't do it, which I think maybe a few months ago, which would have been where some difficulty was, because if you don't have enough staff, you can't overwork all of your players. Certainly, this place has been capable to go 24 hours for a long time, but it's generated by interest. But there's been no depletion in any action. There's certainly games that run overnight, like in a casino, and you think that Rounders is just going to continue to pick up steam, and like the game flow all day long is just going to increase.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of players that, you know, when another place might have to close, or who might even just wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and
Yeah, those are only poker players.
That's what I'm saying. The poker player that's taking the night off wakes up,
or somebody
can't
that's
sleep no more.
Working third shift that
You
gets
come
off
here.
work late.
Come here and get your poker on.
Because you definitely hear stories, oh, well, you know, I couldn't sleep, wake up at 4 in the morning. Because, you know, the average 9 to 5er is not doing that. But a serious player definitely has that option. Or you mentioned, like, you know, San Antonio Poker Palace, Alamo, or someplace like that closes. And, yes, Rounders is the best option.
Chaz does have the best pair with the queen on the board. Needs to fade the ace. Ronda could bet here with the king. Looks like she's going to.
So, you know, another factor that we didn't talk about, Chaz certainly has the highest VPIP. So this game, as far as for the types of game that Chaz usually plays, sure, he'll mix it up and play all the types of games, but he's used to playing games a lot bigger than 5-5. So a player that's plays bigger games than 5-5, certainly that has good post-flop ability and can read and play well post-flop, you're going to see a lot of flops. And you feel like that's part of the reason why he has the highest VPIP. He plays the biggest games in the room in here as far as, like, Hold'em and those types of things go.
Yeah, like with his game and the games that he's used to playing, I don't know, like in sports, you always feel like if you're playing, you're probably one of the better players or you want to win. So I just don't know how you play and feel like you're the best player at the table by able to make those moves that other players won't make, as far as
Comes down to heart.
making those big bets to make them fold the best hand.
Sure. Heart, it's also bankroll, too.
But you also have to have cards, occasionally to stay replenished.
Of course. That's, it's one of those, too, as we mentioned, why Sam leaves the game. If you know that a player has a very big bankroll, has a lot of heart, and is sitting spots behind you, as far as game selection goes or playing in a game, those aren't games and spots that you really want to be in. Good players are going to choose wiser spots. He plays for a while. It's not that he's scared. But, if any one of us were playing in that game, that's not one of the seats that I'd want to be in. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I want to be sitting where Abe's at. I want to be in Ronda's seat.
Correct.
Far enough away where if I'm coming in the pot against Chaz, I've got a hand.
100%.
Abe shows 6s.
Or you just want to be where he's going to act before you, where you have the strategic advantage of Chaz acting before you and hands before you do.
There's the chip counts.
So we see Ronda's just, she bought it for 10K, so she's booking a $300 win. Not quite sure how much Chaz is in for total. Obviously, we have that graphic that pops up from time to time that tells us where players are. It's hard to keep track of all that.
Yeah, for sure.
We give the graphics people credit because it just fluctuates so much, and there's just so much going on at the table.
Auburn Rob's going to join us in seat 2. He bought in for $1,400. He's one of our players that plays the 5-10, 5-10-5 games. Definitely plays in DQ's Friday game, which is a huge game, and those guys play for so many hours, and it's so volatile.
All right. Probably, well, sometimes those players are going to play for long periods of time because they're serious players. Or if you get stuck in a game like that, you know, you're just going to keep playing sometimes. Some players will just play with the philosophy that they'll play until they get unstuck, or try to anyway. Which makes for some long marathon sessions, especially if you had half the table that was stuck.
All right. Nick's got the pocket fives.
Queen high flop, and Yaya, surprise, surprise, has the best hand again, post flop.
He wants to fade a diamond, or he's trapping.
Yeah, it's sometimes you might.
There's 235 out there. You should make a bet now. There's 2 flush draws.
Right, but you might let a card come off too to be a little deceptive, and where it doesn't look like you have top pair here.
Nick sees 3 overcards to his pair. He's going to get rid of it.
Definitely, as far as this game goes, Yaya is the player that's run the best by far, and the one that's flopped the best.
Yeah, he's definitely making hands.
Which poker's fun when it's like that. When you're making hands and you're winning and it's easy, it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and Chaz is doing the opposite right now. Just every hand is either missing or second best.
Well, he's got a 63% VPIP. Let's be serious.
But he's getting 8s against 7s and all low cards but 1.
That one was really unlucky,
You know?
but I mean, he's played everything. He's played Queen 6 offsuit. He's played, Jack not so great offsuit. Like he's played 7-3 offsuit, which if you play his style and you get a little stuck, you're probably going to start playing more hands. So you don't look at that percentage just slow down. But I mean, 63% means you're 6 out of 10 hands seeing the flop. That's a lot. Auburn
Well, in baseball, if you're 3 out of 10, you're an all-star.
Well, I mean, that's a sport. Poker game. People
Right.
sometimes call poker a sport. Just because it's on ESPN, let's not get carried away. It's not a sport. Bowling still takes some dexterity and skill. Poker, you could have the worst athlete in the world sit there at the table for hours, but, it's a skill game. That's what I like to call it.
There we go with Abe going to raise with the King-Jack off. And Rob is going to play the Queen Jack.
That's the
And
best
Chaz
hand
has
that-
Jack 9.
Best hand that Abe's had for a while, actually. I mean, he won a hand not that long ago, but he's been pretty selective, especially with Chaz on his right. He's going to flop top pair here.
And Auburn Rob's not going to fold just yet.
No, he's open-ended. And then Chaz has a gutter ball. To him, that probably looks like open-ended.
Yeah, he needs the Queen. Rob needs a 9 or the Ace. He's going to call 185.
Rob coming right in, though, and flopping a pretty good hand. We'll see if he's able to hold on and hold up here.
Chaz called as well.
Well, we knew he was.
Everybody needs everybody's cards.
Right, which makes the straight really unlikely to come.
An Ace, a Queen, or a 9.
That is a total brick. So you feel like Auburn Rob may continue one more time being open-ended, but who's to say? Who could guess actually what Chaz is going to do? Because being unpredictable, who the heck knows?
325 to win, $1,500.
Right, reasonable.
He's going to come along. I just see him cutting out chips.
Well, yeah, he's going to make a pretty decent bet here.
He needs an Ace or a 9. That's non-diamond. I think a diamond card is not going to scare him. The way Abe's been betting. Chaz let go of his hand. And the brick 8. No help. Abe at 30.
That's great. That's really funny.
And another very generous tip. Abe was a very good guy.
For sure.
King
But
Jack.
bet 30 into a pot of, was it well over 1,000?
1,500.
That's hilarious.
And you can't call.
No, that's
what's
what's
funny.
even more funny. I mean, you could get raised, I guess. It does open the door when you bet so small there, but it worked because he was just open-ended. You feel like Chaz might be the one in a spot like that if somebody down bet and bet so small in the river that he might perceive that as weakness and try to make a move.
You're on it.
Mike in the chat says, that's big money. Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely.
And just think Robert had to leave that seat. And that's what happens sometimes. Like, you can just be card dead for an hour, then you just the deck's going to run
Well,
over. You can make hands.
I mean, you get voted off the island, but if your VPIP is 0, like, you know, you would figure you're going to have a few better hands than a VPIP of 0.
I think we should put that down as a very strong note that is VPIP 0.
Maybe,
He cashed out a
maybe
winner.
they could make a T-shirt.
He cashed out a winner.
Right. My VPIP is 0, but I still win.
I still
I feel
won.
like that's a T-shirt.
I won money.
You could be in quotes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. If it weren't for bomb pots,
Right.
obviously that couldn't
Right.
have happened.
That could be a trivia question. How do you figure that one out?
Yeah, that's a curious one. That's a good question.
You played no hands, but yet you won money. How did you do that?
Like I'm a magician, that's how.
Rudy, our buddy's going to bet 225 with the ace-8 of hearts.
Do you know what time? So you said something about overtime. What time are we prospective to go to here? Do you have any idea?
Well, we run a 3-hour stream,
Sure.
so I don't even know what time we started, honestly.
Right. It was. I feel like it was a little delayed because some of the players were a little lagging getting to the table. Apparently, Mike was having a little difficulty. They must have been in good games out on the floor because they didn't want to come over right away. Either that or maybe Mike didn't, buy them dinner and give them honey mustard chicken or something.
That actually happens a lot. You'll see a player like winning at his table, and he really doesn't want to leave, even though he's signed up to be on the stream.
It's understandable.
He's won $2,000, and he could be winning 3 or 4.
If you're sitting in a game in a good seat and you're running really good, and then you got to go play a tough table lineup, you could see how a player might lag to come over.
For sure. But this is actually a really good table. The players here,
Oh, there's very good players at this table for sure. Again, we mentioned that before. You want to play against the best players sometimes. You just don't want to do it all the time. That's for sure.
right. There's Ronda.
Ronda waking up with kings. He hasn't had much for a while. Definitely should. We'll see if anybody else has anything. She'll for sure will raise.
Oh, she's doing the limp ends.
Oh my goodness! Why? You never know because if Chaz just gets to come in there with any 2 cards, he could outflop you with anything.
Chaz got out of the way.
He must have really had a bad hand. Either that or his spidey sense is high, and he knows something's up in this hand.
There's Nick raising to 40. Mike Stone actually called with Queen 4 off.
Curious. Maybe it's one of those, sometimes if somebody has a little something and you haven't played a hand for a while,
There goes Ronda with the 3-bet.
That's what she was hoping for, that somebody would open. So alas that it worked this time, but it's not always going to be the case.
Nick's like, okay, I'll fold.
Be like, all right, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I like King or 10-9 suited, but not for that.
Right. I mean, that's one of those, Ronda might want to play post flop there, but when you haven't seen a hand for a while and somebody opens, you definitely are going to raise, and you're fine with either scenario. You're fine with seeing a flop, or you're fine just taking it down pre-flop.
Sure.
Because
Absolutely.
anytime you get to win the pot and tip the dealer, I always think that that's favorable. It doesn't even matter that you can get more value. Because if you're just scooping pots and tipping the dealer pre-flop, you're going to be winning in the session, that's for sure. Ronda's just booking a small win, but she's so far just played pretty smart and stayed out of any type of difficult scenarios, which obviously is a winning style.
63% of your hands and bluffing off the stone.
You know,
she's played her pocket pairs well. The 10s didn't have any scare cards.
right? If we were driving cars or on the racetrack, we wouldn't necessarily want to see anybody get hurt or car crashes. But the one thing that this live stream is missing so far is a car crash hand. We saw the 8s versus 7s. Chaz obviously had rebought there too. That was a mild cooler and pipped for sure. But other than that hand, we really haven't seen any action or any fireworks with big hands against each other.
Right. Poker Traveler and DQ always want to see someone be inflicted with the most pain.
I mean, there's definitely going to be
they're
that.
really cheering for that.
With those player types, too, if they're in the games, you're definitely going to see something.
They want to apply max pain.
Poker
to someone.
Traveler was here the other night. Is that what didn't I see that?
Yeah, he plays here regularly.
Right. Well, is he in Texas? Because I know that he's been some in the games at TCH Live in Dallas.
Yeah, he plays around.
Okay.
So he's a San Antonio guy.
He moves around the
all these guys do.
the Texas rooms. I
Yeah.
gotcha. I couldn't remember because obviously if you play a lot or you're working or you're doing other things, you can't watch what all these other players are doing. It's just like, if you like a YouTube vlogger, there's not enough time in the day to watch everything. Ace-Jack versus Ace-Jack, and neither one flops anything, so the aggressor is going to be Yaya, who wins another one.
Yeah, just taking it down. This is his show.
Well,
Yaya show.
when you're running good, so that's the one thing when you have shown down some good hands, people give you credit when you've established a pretty good table image, and like the other Ace-Jack there, you just don't flop anything, so you just let it go. There's Yaya with that straddle again. It looks like that's a $35 straddle.
Oh, 50.
50, bigger one. Chaz sits behind, loves that, because if he wakes up with a hand, which eventually we feel like he's going to.
Yeah, he's going to put 250 to 300 out there to get it heads up.
Sure.
Especially with Yaya making eights full of queens when he straddled that one hand against Big Daddy.
Definitely pretty fortunate. Well, that was one of those two where Chaz.
Oh, my goodness. Abe is getting aces?
Well, do you think if
Big Daddy Chaz raised to 200 with Jack 8.
curious?
Oh, my gosh.
If you think
Abe
Robert
bombs
left
it.
the game and he's watching the live stream, how disappointed he is right now? Because Abe's had some hands.
Well, I mean, if he got voted off because of the VPIP, nothing he could do.
Yeah, there is nothing he could do.
Abe just blisters it for 1,000 on top.
He's not playing any games because he knows that Chaz is the type that can see a lot of flops, so he's going to try to price him out.
Ronda's not calling. Yaya's not calling.
I think this is going to be a raise and take it situation.
Auburn Rob's not going to call.
No, I think everybody's going to fold. Sometimes you're just happy to take your win with aces because, as the saying goes, they do win small pots and lose big pots sometimes.
Oh, looks like Chris is actually getting a break. See who's coming in to deal for a little bit.
Seems fair because he's been a trooper and in there for quite some time. That pot. Aha. So the next hand, apparently there's a technical error and the hand gets awarded to the wrong person.
Looks like Auburn Rob's going to
Not to like totally spoil everything, but apparently like that's what's going to happen here. So don't be shocked if you see chips or something go in the wrong direction, but we'll keep you square on what's going on.
Auburn Rob's going to add on 2,000. There's Danny, our dealer, one of our nice dealers here at Rounders Card Club. Been here for a long time. Likes to play the mixed games with us. Hopefully he'll play Friday night if he's not working.
You think he can hear you?
He will in 30 minutes.
Oh, fair. Well, yeah, you're going to go out there and remind him?
No, he knows. He knows.
Right.
Everybody that plays mixed games looks forward to Friday night.
Sure, I could see that.
We don't play it but 3 or 4 times a week if we get it that many times.
Right.
It's not like Hold'em.
So I didn't mean to let the cat out of the bag on this next hand, but certainly,
Danny's going to just give a misclick.
Well, the booth is communicating with us, so like obviously it would have been information that we could have like saved for the end of the hand, rather than revealing
Yeah.
it too early.
Oliver and Rob's going to reload for 2,000 on top. He's going to straddle, then Big Daddy Chaz going to re-straddle for 75.
That's a
What
big
happened?
re-straddle.
What happened? What happened? Oh,
That's what he was talking about.
Ronda gets the first card. Quick shuffle, Danny. Good job.
Oh, dude, that was sick.
That's a huge restraddle. The straddle's only $10 and Chaz is raising to 75. Again, another example of Chaz being used to playing the much bigger games, and some of these players that are sitting more shallow, maybe not so much the case.
Yeah, well, you got to come in with a hand to be able to call or raise.
Well, yeah, it makes it difficult just to enter the pot because you got to have something. Taco, even perfect example, folded 10-9 of diamonds in relatively good position. It's not necessarily that you're scared of Chaz, but the respect level is definitely high for sure.
Tracy's in the chat rooting for Ronda, of course.
It's an interesting one because nobody's got anything.
Can Yaya pull the trigger and raise here? With the best hand?
It's a good question.
He's going to call.
You're just going to call.
Oh, he does turn the best. Oh, but Chaz has the best flush draw.
Yeah, they both have a spade.
It says, oh, no, what happened? I thought it said the jack of spades. Oh, it's a king of spades, yeah.
If that's
So Chaz,
this is the reader error.
okay, Chaz has the best hand with the queen high flush.
Yeah, but you see how it has the check mark by
Right,
Yaya?
yeah.
So this must have been, the one was just a misdeal. This is the one where it gets awarded to the wrong player because the graphic must not be right.
Right, but Chaz has the best hand.
We think. That's,
He has the queen high flush.
yeah, so I guess the check mark just went by the wrong person. Because they both river to flush. Yaya just gets really unfortunately unlucky here to have the jack high flush, and Chaz has the queen high flush. Well, there's an example.
There you go. Chaz is the comeback.
All right. So a goofy hand, right? If you just have the discipline to let it go on the flop, it doesn't go runner where it goes flush over flush.
Right.
And you lose a much smaller pot. An example of sometimes it's just okay to let a hand go. Obviously, most people are calling there, so it's just a bad beat really, or a cooler where that flush close
Right.
to, that close together.
You call with the best hand. You turn the best card
Right.
to make your call justified.
Right.
And then you hit a card that he only have one card that can beat you, and bam, he has it.
Super unlucky. Excuse me. Just incredibly unlucky because to go runner like that when you turn to king, like you mentioned.
Yep, so here we go. Big Daddy's rush back to the moon with all his chips. Chris just took a quick break. Now he's back in the box.
What I mentioned, I've actually dealt in some home games before and have dealt sometimes to give the guy that's dealing like a maniac just sitting in the box for too long. Sometimes you just got to go to the bathroom or like get a bite to eat, take a breath, anything.
Sometimes you don't.
Well, I mean, you're a man if you can do that for that long. Like, that's an Iron Man. And, we mentioned how dedicated you have to be to wear all that get up and wear the mask. Like, really haven't seen much out of him for quite some time either. He's been relatively card dead and just kind of staying out of the way. Taco, that is.
Yeah, his VPIP is going down.
Well, I mean, Chaz has gotten really active in this game, too. That's definitely a factor. So do you think they have a prize for having the highest VPIP if the lowest VPIP player gets voted off the island? You know,
Yep.
they like buy him a steak or 3 drinks or something like that.
Right, that'd be nice.
There's Chaz straddling it again, so it's going to be a $35 straddle. Again, this game's out of the muck as far as, excuse me, that's actually Abe with a $35 straddle. Do you think Ronda's disappointed? Her perceived target in this game, who she really bought in that deep for, hasn't, and maybe won't be at the table? Probably makes her a little sad. Because there were even, I think Mike even joked and laughed, and then you did, that she was buying in for $10,000. I was actually out there talking to them when that happened originally, so I was already aware. But
Yeah, she said she was going to buy big, and I didn't know she was buying big to go after somebody. But holy cow!
well, that player's
She bought-
not in the game though.
She brought plenty of ammo,
Correct.
and she just got a stack. She just sold some chips.
So I forgot to mention too, because we got caught in the Ronda storyline, that in talking to Andrew before the game, he did say that he was here and he was coming to teach everybody a lesson how to play poker. He said we'll go to battle from. He mentioned a hand in a game yesterday with a player that he was going to go to battle with. But
Let's look at this real quick.
sure, of course.
Pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket jacks.
This is the closest to what you'd say a big action hand that we've had so far. Although the pairs 7s and 8s are relatively low, the jacks is a good pair. See, 7s already gets out of the way and doesn't even see the flop.
Nick raised to 100. Ronda called to 100. Yaya called to 100. Then Chaz 3-bet to 475. Yeah, he's going to get no action.
Yeah, here's the example of when
Whoa.
Chaz actually wakes up with a hand. Uh-oh.
Okay, this is where Yaya can
Yaya
put himself in trouble.
Yaya said he's not having it.
Wow.
It definitely could get in trouble. And Yaya's played pretty well and run pretty well.
He flops a 10,
Oh,
too.
boy, that's a tough one. Because he might not, the way Chaz plays, be willing to let it go.
Chaz is going to throw out $500.
Yaya
Yaya
calls
called
super
quickly.
fast. Does turn
Oh,
a
my
heart.
gosh. He does have a flush draw and 2 pair draw.
Yeah, but you don't feel like Chaz is going to. He does.
He's checked back.
He does check. What's Yaya going to do here? Because he's got second pair with the flush draws. He's just going to try.
This is $2,000 pot and get.
One of the bigger pots we've seen so far, and the river is inconsequential unless you had Jack 9, maybe?
They check.
An example.
Chaz is going to take down $2,200 pot.
And Chaz raised big pre, and sometimes that's where sometimes you want to play in hands with Chaz. You never know what he has, but if you get a little undisciplined, there is the consequence.
Yeah, he bet 500 on the flop too. Got called. The
Snap
flush
called.
the flush got there, and Yaya couldn't take advantage of it.
Well, it's tough because Chaz could have the flush and be checking with the flush, waiting to see what Andrew's going to do, and Andrew was going to try to get there.
Ooh. There we go.
Yeah, big swing.
He's overplaying his hands all of a sudden.
So Abe's the big winner, close to 3K at this point. Stone, who we haven't heard much from in a while, says up 1.7K, actually. Yeah, Mike Stone, by the way, before the broadcast, because I did get to talk to a handful of players, he said that he's just here for fun and that he's here to have a good time. He's doesn't consider himself as serious of a player as some of the others, or at least that's what he was saying. But,
Who's that?
Mike Stone.
Mike Stone is as serious as it gets.
Well, but he said he was here to have fun.
Yeah, on this stream, he's probably just relaxed.
Yeah, it's just table speak. You know, sometimes players aren't going to tell you exactly what they're thinking. Especially if you're in a meet and greet scenario like that where everybody can hear you at the table. You don't want to give a reason for somebody to play against you.
Mike Stone's one of those players that he's very good at all the games.
Right.
He plays Big O. He plays everything, PLO. He's very good at every game. I'm sure most of the guys are, but like Chaz, he only wants to play Hold'em.
Sure.
I only want to play mixed game.
I'm primarily a
Yeah.
Hold'em player as well, so I can
Yeah.
understand the different schools of thought. So
I'm sure Taco is 99.9% only Hold'em. Rudy plays
wait,
mixed
you
games.
think he wears that bandana to sleep? Do we even know what the rest of his face looks like pre-COVID?
Oh, for sure.
You do?
For sure.
Well, I mean, I guess you've
He-
been around these parts.
He actually looks like he has a bandana on even when he takes the
Oh,
bandana off.
That's hilarious. He's probably got a bandana tan underneath there.
Yeah, right. Like a golfer's, they always wear their hats, so if they're bald headed,
Of
their
course.
hats.
But I just think it takes real dedication. He must just be comfortable wearing that. I would just, like, after a while, I'd be like, you know what? I'm taking this off for like an hour. But it's part of his poker persona for sure. So Auburn Rob's come in, and he had that open-ended straight draw. He's after winning one of the first hands, he's not run the greatest because he missed that draw, and that was a pretty reasonable-sized bet on the turn.
And he makes the best hand on the river.
He does. You feel maybe the way this hand has played, he would think he had the best hand. There wasn't a whole lot of interest in this pot.
He's going to say, I got one pair of sevens. Got there.
Really, nobody had much there.
Ronda's at sixes, right?
Yeah, sixes on the turn. I think Ronda's just happy to be on Facebook and Instagram, and like, you know, maybe if they vote somebody off the island, the VPIP island, that Rob, her intended target, would show up. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, though, at this point, the way the game's going. So currently it would be Rude, who's at 13% VPIP. Taco is at 16, so Taco's safe by 13%. Taco's been playing pretty solid. He hasn't got mixed up in much of anything.
Yeah, he never does.
Well, when Chaz opens up like he does, though, it really narrows down. Like, you have to play a lot more snug or tight pre-flop because he's a tough player to deal with post-flop. Particularly because he's used to playing games a lot bigger than this.
And here we go, another bomb pot. It's funny because they were talking about they wanted to play the 7-deuce game, but one player said no, and I wonder if that one player has left the table.
That's a good question.
So that if they wanted, it's too late to implement it now, but
Right. That's a good question. I wonder what the answer is. Because it's really hard to say. It's hard to know.
yeah, I want to ask and find out if they know who.
Honestly, with Chaz playing the style that he does and Ronda sitting so deep, I would want no part of that deuce 7 prop because it brings a whole new element and a whole new factor into the game. And when you have somebody sitting with 10K on the table and then somebody that has the ability to be as aggressive as Chaz does. So in this hand, we're going to go 3 sevens. Auburn Rob, is going to take it down just with trips. There really wasn't much substantial action there. Turn trips is way the best hand. Everybody just folds. So we've heard Chaz laugh a few times through the walls, but definitely no one got to the point where they were drinking. There haven't been any cocktails purchased or consumed at the table. Because
Yeah.
Chaz said I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
Chaz was saying that he might drink if anybody else did, but I think people are playing a little bigger. Ronda's got 10K on the table too. People don't want to mix around any shenanigans. You're playing pretty serious.
Yeah, the Rail Bar and Grill can definitely make a mean cocktail. But looks like everybody's just going to drink their waters and sodas and just relax and not get out of line.
Well, you understand why. They'll probably drink after the game.
Yeah, they'll be at the bar having a drink and talking about the stream. And
Yeah, you see Chaz and some of the players doing that sometimes, but it's a little more comfortable that way. You don't have a perspective of 10K at risk at that point anymore. So we don't know what Stone has again.
He has a bet. Three-quarter pot.
Yeah, just lets it go.
You see how hard he plays against Chaz, but he plays not that hard against Mike Stone.
Well, I mean,
It's the person, right?
of course, it's player type. If a player has a perceived image to be tight aggressive and play more solid, you're obviously going to show that player respect post-flop and just let hands go. Whereas Chaz, you never know what he has.
Chaz just needs him to call him with a 10 high against his pocket jacks again a few more times and get even.
Well, I mean,
Yaya was pretty, saw a lot of potential in that hand.
well, he did have potential. It just,
And he did flop a pair, so it could have got a 9 or a 10 could have been a very bad card.
sure. It's probably good that it did check and there was less in the pot. Chaz checked because he thought that Yaya could have had a king in that hand. So 9-8 offsuit versus ace-9 suited. And also queen-8 suited for Auburn Rob.
Oh, Yaya is mixing it up. Oh, my goodness.
Pretty
Top
good.
pair, top kicker versus opening straight draw and a pair. There could be a lot of money in this pot.
It definitely could be. The 10 possibly could slow down at some point, but both players flopping pretty good here.
I think a 2 or 3 could be a very bad card. Oh, Yaya's going to raise.
I mean, it certainly makes sense with a pair and a straight draw.
Ronda's putting him on a flush draw, I'm guessing.
The equity's pretty close
Gosh,
together.
she makes 2 pair.
That's a really good turn card.
That's a bad turn card, with I think, with the diamonds, because
Yeah.
that's what he could have been repping.
You have to feel like and put your opponent on that hand, and she just leads right out for a pretty strong bet with 650. Yaya's, after really running good early and consistently flopping the best hand, has been put in a couple of difficult scenarios in the last half hour.
I think he's going to fold because now Ronda's actually repping the flush draw. That's why she bet out and just called his raise.
Sure. He's trying to put the pieces together. You can see Yaya thinking it through, and you can see the wheels in his brain working and moving as he tries to put this one together.
You are really good at calling my hand, so I just want to hear you think it out, because I know you're thinking it, but I'd like to hear it articulated to the rest of us.
Ronda can definitely put the pressure on you, that's for sure.
Well, if you're sitting 10K deep, you could put a lot of pressure on somebody too, but she has the ability to do so for sure. Good players will do just that, because a good player is going to also evaluate that you're not going to have a flush all of the time. It's impossible to have a flush all of the time here. So that's why even though when the flush shows up, she just leads out strong. And like obviously here, unless Yaya's doing a fantastic bit of Hollywooding and acting, it's clear that he doesn't have a flush. He just has a difficult hand that he's not sure what to do with. You can tell a little bit of frustration too on Yaha's face. Just Yaya,
He
just by
called.
He does, but by reading his body language, you can tell he's a little frustrated. He's not sure quite what to think or do here.
Oh, no. The 4 comes off.
That's a tough one because Ronda does not have a diamond in her hand, and Yaya easily could rep the flush here.
Can he shove the 2.6?
It'd be a bit
Oh,
of,
went check, check.
yeah.
Ace 9, that's good. The hands that got him a lot of chips earlier is taking chips away from him right now.
Well, for sure. He's been in a couple of difficult scenarios the last few hands. That hand with Chaz and that hand with Ronda, because he has equity to the river and has the chance to hit a straight. Just the
Look at the VPIP, 60% for Chaz. Let's look at Yaya's up there, 45%. I didn't think he was second, but yeah, he's up there.
pretty high. Austin Robb's at 40%.
And he's been there a short amount of time.
Right.
That's probably why he's not many hands.
Well, he had one of the first ones had that open-ended straight draw, and then like sometimes it's hand dependent. You don't feel like he's gotten out of line or played crazy, but if you have hands and you have a shorter sample size, your number is actually going to be a little higher, actually.
Right,
Until
right.
it balances out.
Right.
I did that earlier. I did the exact same thing, but I just
Look, Yaya folded the ace-8 offsuit. So instead of playing the 9-8 offsuit, he folded the ace-8 offsuit.
He could be a little frustrated, too, and sometimes
Yeah,
he'll
just need to take a break.
yeah,
right?
take a hand or two off and get mentally recomposed.
I think Nick's going to continue here for $10 for sure. He's probably thinking it could be a chop with the 5 kicker if something comes out there, but Taco ends up making 2 pair on the river, 7s and 3s. For $30, Nick's going to call a king high, or a pair of kings.
Hey, have you put your pen right to the test, bro?
See the bad news.
Put your pen right to the test. Have you gone to
Hey, talking quite a bit there. I wonder what he's talking about.
good watch now? I was heard like with like this Italian special forces use.
So it was at the end of hour 1 and 2 that the player with the lowest VPIP would be replaced. So
Right.
that probably means we won't get another player voted off the VPIP island. So
Right. Sam left and Robert left.
Right. The lineup that we have should be, unless somebody decides to leave, the lineup for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, that should be the finishing group here. So Andrews, Yaya's taking a little turn there. He's about back to the starting stack where he was up pretty good.
Well, there's a couple hands that were tough where he had equity to get to the river, and then that tough hand against Chaz where Chaz had way the best hand, and he just got a little sticky and or stubborn, whatever you want to call it.
Here's Chaz with pocket 10s.
That's a way above average hand for what Chaz has
Man.
had.
And Rudy's got pocket 9s. I think he's going to get away from it. Yeah.
That's really staying away from trouble there. His VPIP has actually dipped to one of the bottom. But, like, sometimes, too, if the game's getting ready to conclude and you're either close to starting stack or booking a small one, you'll kind of lock
for
it
sure.
up.
I'd rather be up 200 or 300 than be down 500 to 1,000.
Well, yeah.
Based on playing a hand where you think you're good, and let's say it comes out 2-3-7. You know,
Sure.
he's going to bet you're going to think you're good. He's going to have ace queen, ace king,
Sure.
and then you're going to lose a whole stack when he shows you 10s versus your 9s.
Right. Well, and it's one of those, too, with just no time to play, too. You just don't want to take that risk.
Right.
Especially against a player that doesn't really care and doesn't seem – I mean, he cares, but he doesn't value money, like, because he's got a lot of it and doesn't mind playing big hands and playing deep. I mean, you've seen Chaz has already rebought twice in this game. So he wants to have the proper chip stack for the way he likes to play.
Ronda's selling some chips. Yaya's going to add on. Well, he is going to straddle for 50, it looks like. The well is a little short. Oh, he's got plenty of black chips in there. That's what they say, Ronda. Always count your money. Don't take it for granted someone gave you the right amount.
Sure.
Just smart business.
Well, you just have to verify. It's just like you go to the bank, you count the money even after they give it to you.
Since the 7 deuce is not a bounty tonight, Big Daddy Chaz will get rid of that.
What do you mean he'll get rid of it?
Fold.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
see. I see what you're saying. Obvious.
If, it was
obvious
if they were playing bounty, I
Yeah,
think
of
he'd
course.
come out raising with it. Right?
Yeah, it's a brain fart there. I just wasn't thinking for a second.
And Ronda has the Cowboys again.
It's the second time she's had kings. If I remember,
And she limped in the last time, check raised.
did. If memory serves me correctly, she's the only one that's had pocket kings in this game.
Wow. Rudy kind of got out of line raising with queen 6. The 175, Ronda's going to put another 205 on top.
Right? Because if you remember, Abe had aces, Chaz had queens, and nobody else has had kings, I don't believe. Ronda's just going to take it down pre-flop.
Oh, yeah.
As you mentioned, after Rude got a little out of line there with raising with a goofy hand.
Just playing position.
So I guess there's no way to know. Like, it'd be interesting to know if there was a clock or how much time we did have remaining, because that does have a factor in gameplay. As far as, like, you know, you see
Yeah,
the
how
nines.
fast they're going to play right.
Well, you see the nines getting folded. So if the players, if they know how much time is actually remaining, I feel like that's absolutely a factor.
I find it, you know, interesting how he folded nines, but wants to raise with the queen 6 suited just to, because he's in position.
Yeah, that, and sometimes you could get a little bored. But, like, you know, also he's playing that hand against Chaz, too, which is going to be a much tougher hand to play post-flop.
And so they called it. Andrew doesn't like you very much.
No, it wasn't me. It was Jimmy. And so they called the floor to see what's up, and the floor said, "Look, if the cards are retrieval and
Rudy's jack 10 against the 7-6.
they're still in play, you can still get it back."
Man, the 8's such a bad card because they both make a straight.
For sure would be.
Auburn Robin be in bad trouble. So he instantly folds.
And he just wisely lets it go. There's not really enough in the pot to warrant calling with a gutter there. You need a few more callers in the hand to get the right price. So Ronda's creeping up now to a little more of a win. She was hovering around a $300 or $400 win for quite some time, but it's creeped up over 11K.
Yeah, Mike Stone's up about $2,000 as well.
Right? Just by
Quietly.
playing solid, really.
Yeah, quietly. Abe's doing quite well.
Well, you know, having aces and a couple of the hands that he's had, it's definitely came in at the right time and has played them well.
Nick's going to limp in with pocket 7s. Just calls a $50 battle. Wow, Yaya's going to raise with a 10 deuce.
It's curious. You wonder if he's getting a little restless and frustrated after starting off the game so well and then kind of coming back down to size.
And he did just add on a little bit.
He's also raising with 10 deuce out of position and does flop the best hand.
Wow. There's a flush draw out there, but no one has a flush draw. Man, can Nick call one bet of 100? I mean, probably bet out about 250 maybe. Oh, 325. He bet 3/4 pot.
Maybe
Yeah.
because his kicker's so bad and he flopped the best hand, he just wants to end this hand right here.
He's back to catching cards.
Well, I mean, catching cards or maybe overplaying a hand and then catching top pair, like it's definitely catching the flop. But it's getting a little creative there, but it worked out in that situation.
Yeah, last time was a weird game. The guy on C4 that had those wearing that yellow shirt.
I think Ronda leads the league in this game in texting and or, you know, being on her phone. Whatever she's doing is social media over there. Maybe she's just ordering chickens or turduckens for, you know, like Thanksgiving time. Who knows?
That is a question only we can ask her. We know no answers.
Right? I wonder if actually her buying so deep, if she didn't anticipate or hope to have a little more action in this game. Like, again, game flow, you got to take what the game gives you. But generally, if you're sitting that deep, like, you want to have some action. But there's nothing wrong with just booking a solid win either and moving on.
Look, Rudy is just going to call with pocket kings, hoping someone gets out of line with the ace queen of diamonds.
Well, 3-betting with ace queen would be pretty standard and normal.
The 225.
And that's the so now that's just the second person in this game to have pocket kings, because so far Ronda's had them both the other 2 times we've seen them.
Definitely going to fold around to Rudy. He's got 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got well over $600. He's sitting on.
You would have thought
He has
that it's
well over $1,000.
possible he could have raised again, but he just flats.
He's trying to get Taco to the bet, and his check does work. He bets a quarter pot because he knows he doesn't have anything. Rudy's going to recheck. Say, these kings, they must be good. Let me raise it up a little bit. You need to raise here. I want him slow play it. You know, they say ace on the river, right?
Definitely doesn't seem like the spot. Like, sometimes if you have the best hand, you just want to take down or win the hand. Plus, there are draws on the board.
He did get max value for that hand.
Sure. That's one side of the table that we've seen that's actually been relatively inactive. Maybe because Chaz Chaz has kind of calmed down, but for a while Chaz was so active, and then those players just really didn't have any cards. So you see Chaz, his VPIP was up to like 64%. It's dipped down to 57. So he's
It's still high,
It's,
right?
well, of course it's high. Like,
Well, 30 is the range, you know.
Right.
28, 30, 32, something like that.
right.
That's a good range.
But I'm saying, like, because he's gotten a little less active, the percentage has dipped even in the last half hour, 45 minutes, quite a bit.
We did do a PLO stream, and the guy was right at 95%,
Wow.
96%.
Which you're going to see more flops, obviously, in those spots. But that's a pretty high VPIP even in a PLO game.
Exactly. Again, Rudy has a pocket pair. He folded 1-9. He's going to come out raising this 9s, I'm sure. Oh, he's just limping in for 5. Hoping to flop a 9 against any raised hand.
Sometimes in spots like that, you don't raise because if somebody else has a hand or raises, you just want to call and see the flop. Particularly because this game's got to be nearing its conclusion. I feel like that's why some of the players are playing a little tighter too. Maybe why Chaz isn't quite as active as before. You have to know that that plays a factor into the game, and the players being savvy, everyday players, they know these things.
You know the big one, right? What Trey got him? I don't want to say anything.
We're going 4-way to the flop. Ace-5 versus 5-5 versus 9-9 versus 7-6. Oh, my gosh.
9 flops a set.
Let's see. 7-6 can't do anything. So it's a pretty safe flop for 9s, even though it's... Here we come out.
Oh yeah,
He's putting everybody on paint cards. Rudy calls here. He needs a 2 or 4 to come off. No, a 4 could make a straight. So a 2 or a 3. No, yeah, a 3 would be a perfect card. Rudy min raises. Oh, there's a 3. Yaya's going to think his 6s and 3s are good. Rudy should check here for sure.
Think so? Yeah, because
yeah.
Yayo's been the aggressor so far in this hand.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was looking at the notes for a second after I saw the flop set.
He would have to bet big here. A third of the pot. It says he bet $45, but I think it's $450.
That would make more sense. 45 into 1.5K doesn't seem like it would
Be enough to
be a reasonable bet with top set. You want to get value with top set that turned into a full house.
And what if Yaya catches a 6 on the river?
Oh man, he's really trending in the wrong direction after he's played well. He's just like started off. It's certainly we mentioned how much fun poker is to play when you're hitting hands and flopping top pair. This is quite the opposite when you've kind of taken that swing downward and now you're thrust into a lot of difficult scenarios against good players. Not nearly as much fun when that's the case.
Yeah, you're making tough calls, and
you can tell too. He's expressive. You can tell by the anguish on his face in a lot of these spots.
yeah,
just
he
like
should have checked. I think there's a check there.
right, the anguish on his face there shows you like it's just tough scenarios, tough decisions, and he doesn't like it.
Because if he catches up with a 6 on the river, you're going to get max value.
Right.
He can put you on a 3, a 9, and say, okay, 9s and 3s beat 6s and 7s if he makes 2 pairs.
Sure. Or, if the 6 comes, then you've got 6s full of 3s, and you're definitely going to get value from the better full houses.
And you're not worried about quads.
No, it's quads is
So
rare.
you might as well check there. He might check back, but he could catch up on the river.
Right.
But nice hand for Rudy. Flops a set, turns a full house.
Rudy's a player that's been relatively quiet too, so it feels good when you haven't had a hand for a while to win a pretty decent hand.
Miguel says, what time does our game end? Our game is probably going to end around close to 11:30.
My last hand.
Something like that.
My last hand, Eric. I gotta leave a little early.
Nick Vermeer says, Taco Fall. Yeah.
He's not quite as tall as Taco Fall. He is wearing green. I mean, he's wearing the green hoodie and the green hat. Since Taco Fall is a Celtic now. Ron is going to flop a gutter. Yaya with bottom pair. And Chaz has absolutely nothing.
Chaz has a flush.
Oh, he does?
He had a flush draw.
Oh, he does have
turned
a flush. I didn't see there were 2 clubs. I was thinking that for a second that was a spade, but that definitely is clubs. So he gets pretty fortunate there. Nobody else really has much is the only thing. So unless somebody tries to make a move here, I don't think this hand will continue. Oh, boy.
He's hoping to.
What is Yaya thinking here?
He's hoping to catch a club.
We definitely see the frustration trending from him in the wrong direction after starting so well. Look at the anguish look on his face again. And it's what's curious is if he would have rivered a flush, Chaz would actually have had the best hand by 1 card. It would have been really hard to know.
The delay, Miguel, is 30 minutes. We're on a 30-minute delay. Yes, Nick, we saw that Russell Westbrook is going to the Lakers.
That is where he's going?
Yeah.
Curious. So how many likes did we make it up to in this live stream?
Well, my phone, if it's not updating right, or if it is, says 36.
36, I gotcha. Certainly we'll throw one more opportunity out there. We definitely appreciate any generosity towards live stream donations. This will be, as we're heading towards the end of the live stream, maybe your last opportunity. You know, if you throw and pitched us a bone, it's kind of like buying us a beer at the bar, you know, and if we saw you and knew that you were one of the tippers, I'm certainly the guy that would buy you a beer at the bar. So if I saw you, I have actually been on this Texas journey for quite some time. I will be returning to Rounders, but my Texas trip is going to be concluding soon. I'm actually, sadly, going to head back to the Midwest. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to go into poker depression. You know why I'm going to go into poker depression? Do you think the games are anywhere as good anywhere else in the country in a lot of places as they are here in Texas? No. They're not. Do you think that I can walk into a game and in an hour and a half make $700? Because in your typical, like, 1-2 or 2-5 games, like, you have to get lucky. You have to play a little guy. There's been so many times I've sat down here at a Rounders table, and I kid you not, I will win $500 more. I'll go have a meal at Hooters, and I just realize how lucky I am.
Right.
Hour and a half, you know, $500. Like in your lower level games, sometimes that's just not possible all the time. Looks like Chaz is racking up.
Chaz has racked up, and he's taken whatever he won or lost home and going to go again later.
I think Chaz perceives that as this game is winding down, the tight players particularly are not putting much money in the pot, so there's not really a lot of action. So it doesn't, you know, when you're sitting really deep, you're assuming a lot of the risk. And he being one of the action players is assuming a lot of the risk, and he probably just doesn't want to continue to do that. Ronda also is assuming a lot of the risk, sitting so deep, but she's played so tight and played so solid that you feel like her chip stack, is intact and not really at risk, unless there's just a massive cooler hand. That would make sense. So we got word from the producers this is either the last hand or second to last hand, and if that were the case, that would certainly make sense why Chaz went ahead and racked up. What do you want to bet? Chaz is at the bar having a drink, like a post. You know, if there was
nothing, because it's 100% chance he's there.
I didn't really want to bet anything. It's just like a fictitious bet.
It's 100% chance.
100% chance. He said he was going to stop drinking for 3 weeks.
But it doesn't say what week he's going to start.
I think it lasted like 2 or 3 days. I joked and chided him about it actually one day because he said that and I heard him and he's like, "Oh yeah, you heard that?" And then like 3 days later, his friends were buying him a drink or two and he was a little inebriated. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think we'll do one bomb pot and see the players are racking up.
So if this
Taco's done for the evening.
If this is the conclusion of this broadcast, JT, I'd like to extend you a warm thank you for having me as your guest announcer, and also to Mixed Game Mike. Certainly, as having gone to broadcasting school and not had opportunities for a handful of years, it's been fun. It's been joy, and been happy to be here with you alongside.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us tonight. Really
Most
appreciate
definitely.
your help.
Certainly, if I return to Texas and I could schedule it with Mike in the future, I would love to be sitting on a broadcast again with you.
I think we're busy that day.
Oh, well, I mean, what are you going to do? I'll buy you a beer, right? Abe, just as he smugly, kind of looks up and smiles at the camera, comes in late in the seat. The guy didn't even win a hand, and he's booking over a 2K win. Good life.
Yeah, not too bad.
Must be nice.
Ronda's going to finish the stream with Ace King, and looks like Nick has Ace Jack of Hearts. He's going to bump it up to 200. Of the Yaya raised to 100. I see Ronda not going anywhere.
You wouldn't think so. What? Look at Yaya, last-ditch effort.
Ronda 4-bet.
Oh, that would make sense.
And he's going to call.
Yaya is looking to
He is playing
get
hard.
lucky as, the session's kind of turned around. He's looking to get really lucky on the last hand.
The flop, of course, is going to be Ace 8-4.
You think so? There's only two aces remaining.
The turn is going to be a king.
Wait, is this poker fantasy land?
Counterfeiting Yaya's 2-pair.
Is this like when you're sitting at the table and you
Ronda
hear the people?
scoop and a jack on the river. Ronda scoops both players.
That would definitely be a bing bang bongo to finish with.
Look at
for
this
sure.
pot.
Yeah, it's
We're up to $1,200 pre-flop.
ballooned.
Ace king off. Ace jack hearts.
Oh, you said it. Ace on the
There we
flop.
go.
There it is. And Yaya is just going to frustratingly fold. But what a way to finish. We really haven't had a whole lot of action or cooler car crash hands with the last hand and people gambling and the propensity for that to happen. You feel like Nick's not going to let this one go very easily. Andy does have possible backdoor nut flush draw.
He could turn 2 pair or a flush draw. But it's $1,300. It's all in for him to call.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's...
He does make the call.
Oh, boy. Ronda is in good shape to win a big pot right here at the end. That's a brick, and it's not to be.
Ace king is going to beat ace jack.
So there's an example of sometimes when you've played really well, you've played really tight, these last hands are gambling hands, kind of like bomb pots can be sometimes, and you just flop too good and you can't let it go, and then you turn what was a pretty solid session into a relatively big loss at the end, which is unfortunate for Nick. Ronda sits with 10K, plays really tight, plays really well, and then right at the end, bam, wins a big pot right as we finish. All right, so that was the last hand. We're going to run through a little post-game stats. It's not going to be like Al Michaels and, Sunday Night Football, where we're going to have like a long post-game, just a short post-game here. Feel free to take us through the stats there if you like, JT.
Well, the VPIPs tonight, Big Daddy Chaz, which it was a VPIP game, so he's at 55%. Yaya, 45%. I think he did book a win at the end. Mike Stone at 32%, definitely booked a $2,000 win. Ronda at 31%, which is a great range. The 32s, the 28s is a great range. And then you look at the pre-flop raises. Big Daddy Chaz still at the top at 31%.
No
Yaya's
surprise.
in there, 27. Definitely mixing up with the straddles. You gotta love that. Rob came in late. Auburn Rob, he's at 8%. Not surprising. He does play so solid. The aggression, Big Daddy Chaz. If you're leading the other two, you gotta be leading this one.
Well, of course.
The top 2 players are leading every category, right? Yaya and Big Daddy Chaz, action drivers, and everybody else sitting back picking their spots. So when it went to showdown, A was at 33%, but he was showing the nuts every time.
Well, he had aces the one time, then he had a king top pair with kings.
Yep.
That one went through pretty fast, but that's kind of makes sense.
There we go. The
Ronda, the big
win.
winner.
2,900, Abe 27.
See, look, Yaya-
Mike Stone 14, Rudy 14.
Didn't mean to jump over you there, but Yaya got a little stubborn late, but he did only lose 500 with some of the spots that he ended up in. It's
But he was up 2,000.
Fortunate to only be down 500 though.
Yeah.
Calling with 8-4 on the last hand, trying to get that
Yeah.
lucky. He got into a couple of difficult spots.
And that's why he's down. He
Of
called that
course.
last hand with ace-4.
Of course.
So, all right, we want to thank everybody who liked and subscribed. Thanks to Mixing and Mike for all the work in the production office. Thanks for Chris Dillon the whole night. Thanks for Tony joining me in the booth tonight. I'm JT. Thank you to the owners for putting our stream together and getting us.
And one
everything.
last thing, we have to thank anyone that gave us
Yeah.
$1 towards the broadcast. Certainly
Rhonda,
Rhonda with
thank
the
you.
big tips. That
John, Lucas,
really made
thank
our
you
night.
for the money. Really appreciate y'all's support. So we want to wish y'all a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Or we'll see you on the felt.
Good night.
And you're very accurate. You really, I like to hear you like play it out in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think you have ace queen or ace jack or something like that. I didn't think you had ace nine, so I was thinking that I could two pair or trips or open ended. I did not put you on ace nine.
That's
Did not put you on
good.
ace nine.
That's good. I didn't want you to.
But I'm a little annoyed because I played the flop bad because